Good morning. I am still not feeling well, as you could tell, but good morning, everyone. I am in the process of sharing and figuring out how to share the rock fan. There it is. Okay. I'm just stealing Warren's tweet and adding it myself. So yes, if you could see from the comment thing, we are on Rockfin, which is awesome. I'm so excited to have it finally done. It's definitely going to take like a couple extra steps, but I did it and it's not too bad. So I'm excited. Yay. Okay. Welcome to What, where my animals are the stars of the show, especially the dogs. If you know, you know. Um welcome. So today, as you can see, I'm still not feeling too well. My nose is starting to feel a little bit better. Still a little clogged up, but mostly just like the crusties in the morning, and the mouth breathing at night and all of that. So I've got myself some tissues with lotion. So I'm gonna, this is not like an ad or anything for the lotion tissue, but goddamn, man, from going from like paper towels and like napkins from fast food places to tissue, like, tissue paper. Holy crap. I don't look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as much anymore. I still do a little bit, but it's getting so much better. Good morning, Dolores, over on Facebook. Yay. Yes, we are also on Facebook as well. So good morning. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in on that side as well. I kept the rock fin up a little bit long so everybody can check it out. We're trying to start to get some following over on there. Warren helped out huge. I went into the rock fin this morning. Yesterday, I had posted yesterday's episode in there, and then just kind of was going to see how yesterday's episode went. And I woke up this morning and Warren put all of my episodes on there already this morning. Goddamn, living in the future literally helps you get things done. And I am super, super grateful for you. So thank you, Warren, for doing that. That's so cool. I'm like still trying to get used to all like the Rockfin stuff, but it's very neat to see like all of our stuff on there. That was really, really cool. I wasn't expecting it yet. So good morning to you, waking up already doing stuff in the morning. Good morning, Holly. Good morning, Dolores. Yes, Rockfin is cool. They are very supportive. Thank you, Holly. The beat is done at the beginning. You'll see it says music by CMCL. He goes by Chemical. That's my little brother. That's his initials of all of his names. So he has two middle names. So KMCL. KL is his first and last name initials. So he took the initials. That's me, and my sister and my brother have always loved like figuring out how we could name ourselves by our initials. And so we've always had really funny ones. Like my brother's is Chemical. My sister's was JGL, so we would call her Jiggle, and then mine was JCL, and so I was Jissel. So it was Jissel, Jiggle, and Chemical, and that's what we would like make fun of each other growing up as kids and stuff. We just thought that was really cool, and my brother kind of kept it along and kept it going, and now that's what he goes by with his music name, and that's who plays the music. I kind of had him just throw something together for me really quick because when the first week I started doing the show, I was getting copyrighted for the music, even though I pay for the music. So I pay for this website called animatron.com, and it has Storyblocks audio in there. I paid for it. I own that stuff. But for some reason, taking it from there and then putting it onto YouTube, they're just not taking it. I guess they're like, you've been copyrighted by Storyblocks Audio. And I'm like, that's who I fucking bought it from, you assholes. And they just keep doing it every time. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to fight it. So I asked my brother just to throw something quick together. And I asked him a few days ago if he would, I sent him a song that I absolutely loved. It gave me like a lot of chills. It was really, really nice. No words in it or anything. And I was like, can you do something similar to this? So now he's working on something that I actually want instead of something that he threw together. But he's like really busy doing his own thing as well. He got a hold of me yesterday. And if you live out by the Lake Tahoe area, that's where he's at, is around that area. And I guess there's a radio station Yeah, JCL pickle. Just a pickle. Um, so, if you go on the radio station or listen to the radio station out there, there's I guess, a vodka company called, uh, Blue Tahoe or Tahoe Blue or something like it has blue in it, I know that, and I think it has Tahoe in it. And it's a vodka company, and they did a contest on the radio for, a jingle for their vodka bottle, or their company, and they're having a contest for it, and my brother got a hold of me yesterday, and he says that he's been number 1 for the jingle on the radio station for the last 2 weeks. So if you are in that area and you're listening to a Blue Tahoe vodka commercial and there's a jingle with a dude singing, that's my little brother. So he's excited. He loves it. He said that when he grew up, when we were watching Full House as little kids, that's what Uncle Jesse did as a job. He was a radio DJ and he would bring people on and kind of start their career by bringing them on to his radio station. That was kind of like his job in the TV show. And my brother told me like that's what he's always wanted to do was hop on a radio station and do some stuff for a radio station. So he said he's absolutely like living his dream right now. What? My video is freezing. Don't say that. Don't say that. He's scary. Let me check. No, I'm good. Okay. Don't scare me. So yeah, that's my brother. So he's got this little jingle on there and yeah. Okay, I actually can hear myself now. Holy crap. Okay. Try to head over steam. Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do today is after the show, I'm just gonna sit in my shower for a good 15, 20 minutes and see what I can do about just cleaning it all up. I think what happened was this weekend, like I said, yesterday, we got this really bad storm that came in for about a good hour. And from what I heard, I guess there was a hurricane out by the Mexico Gulf Coast over there. And I guess Mexico got hit really bad. We got the tail end of it where we are here. So just out of nowhere, the wind and the rain and everything just stirred all this everything up. I don't know what it did, and my nose was like, "It's being attacked. Let's fight it." So my nose just decided to overfight whatever I was breathing out there. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that. I tried to do some hot food last night, like some not too spicy or anything like that, just enough to spice up to open my nostrils up, and it didn't really work. It was a chili lime top ramen, and I just kind of sat there and like smelled the soup part of it and kind of like drank it, but didn't really work too much. Thank you. Yes, so the tan, I've got 2 of them right here. The tan one with the big ears and the short hair, that's Lady. She is part Chihuahua, part wiener dog, so she's a Chiweenie. But yes, definitely has the Chihuahua face and the Chihuahua head. It's just her body has the wiener dog look, and it's super cute. And then this curly-haired mutt right here, that's my sister's dog. I've been babysitting him for, God, it's been like 3 months now, I believe. My sister's landlord up and sold the house like right from underneath them, gave them a 30-day leave. So my sister, who has been living in that house for the last, holy crap, probably over 5 or 6 years, at least 5 or 6 years. I probably know it's more. Just had to pretty much move up their house and get out of there. And my sister has her husband and 4 kids. So she's, and then all of the housing market is just ridiculous. So they're wanting to find a house to buy instead of rent. And because my sister just doesn't want to move ever again, she said that this was like horrible for her and the family. So they're looking to buy, but since the prices are so up, they're kind of like stuck. So they're staying at my sister's best friend's house. The family's there, but the family couldn't take any of the animals. So us, like me, my mom, my dad, and some of the family members kind of took an animal each. And so that's the one I got, is this little one. His name is Dodger. I don't know what he is. He reminds me of like a Shih Tzu a little bit, but also like the curly hairness, like poodle-ish. So like maybe a shadoodle or a shapoodle. I don't know. But he definitely has Shih Tzu and poodle look to him for sure. So I have no idea what it could be. He's just a pain in the ass. And yesterday, him and her were the star of the show yesterday. So if you know, you know. So yeah, that's the puppies. I'm afraid to do all that. My husband bought me one of those like nasal spray things, and I guess it's got like salt water or something in it. He's like, you just got to spray it up your nose and then just kind of, deal with the after effects of all of it going in there and, doing all that. I was like, so you're wanting me to pretend to drown myself? He's like, yeah, it's pretty much how it's going to feel. And I just threw the fucking bottle out. I'm like, no, I don't want it. Like, fuck that. I'm not going to sit there and drown myself just so I can breathe. Like, I'm not going to do the complete opposite thing to myself and bring out probably my biggest fear out of the entire world just so I can breathe out of my nose. I would rather sit here and just let it all fucking just pour out. And I suffered last night. Absolutely. But I'd rather do that than literally try to drown myself because that's terrifying to me. So, yeah, cool coming here 40s and then 60s. Yeah, the mid like just east of like Texas is supposed to be getting really bad freezing weather, some kind of thing from up north coming down, and you got down over there is hitting the tail end of it. I saw that on the news last night. So Kelly, oh, thank you. It's good to see you. I know you're probably busy. You're like more of a night owl, so I will definitely, yeah. Just popping in to upvote the algorithm. Okay, before you crash. Yeah, I figured you're more of a night person. So see you on the other side. Absolutely. Thank you for at least coming over here and giving the support. I truly appreciate you. I love you, girl. Thank you so much. Jesus, hi. Yes. Wait, where's Jesus? Jesus is up in here too. Oh, he is. He's the one that asked if my chihuahuas or my puppy's a chihuahua. Got it. Good morning, Jesus. Good to see you in your California bear flag. Yeah, somebody yesterday told me wasabi does the same thing too. I think it was Warren. I can't remember. Somebody yesterday told me that wasabi works as well, and I'm terrified. Like, I don't know. I'm so scared of wasabi too. So, oh, she's good. She's good. She's at her best friend's house, so she's like, they're fine. She's good. It sucks. It's a sucky situation, but our whole family's been there, and she'd rather find something really good. So at least, in her best friend's house, he makes decent money. So, they've got like this nice 2-story house with the nice yard and stuff. So the kids are still able to do what they want. And then her best friend's kids are best friends with her kids. So like all the kids get to hang out together, and they're all boys. So my sister has 4 boys and her best friend has 2 boys. And they're, pretty much around the same age, except for like the one oldest of my sister's son, Johnny. He's like 16, 17, but all the rest of them are around the same age. So they're totally, totally fine. And they're definitely going to be freaking great over there, especially the kids. So it's good. What do I think made Gavin Newsom change his mind on making community colleges free in California? Well, I know that community colleges can be free and are free. When I went to community, I don't did he I am not up to date with that. Did he make it not free, or is he the one that made it free? Cuz was Gavin Newsom our governor back in 2009? Cuz that's when I went to community college and I got to go for free, but I was a low income. So I got the whole like low income thing where you like pay $1 and then you can get like Pell Grants, like I think it's like $2,000 per semester or something, so that way you can get your books and all of that stuff that you need uh, for that semester. I like the little, because I got like, so like right here in StreamYard, it tells me how long. I know you guys can't see it, but like for me right here, it tells me how long I've been doing it, and then how many people are watching, and then my Wi-Fi signal. And my Wi-Fi signal just disappeared. So that's scary. Reagan ended free tuition. Okay. Reagan, and yeah, but I was able, like, So then what about the community college that I went to where I only paid $1 and I got the Pell grants? Because those grants are the ones that you get because you're low income and you don't have to pay those back. You just pretty much pay the college $1 and it's free to take classes. So Gavin Newsom, I know Gavin Newsom is the current governor, was thinking of making it free, but changed his mind last minute. Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, I have no clue. Because for me, I always thought that the community colleges are still free. I don't know. Maybe I'll look in here, I'll look into it because I've got like a list of things that now that I've been doing this for 2 weeks, I got like a list, starting a list of things I want to cover. And if I just cover it, I cover it that day. If I don't, I don't. So community colleges, free, Gavin Newsom. And I will look that up later on today when I get off of here. For sure I will. Don't worry, I promise. I'll look it up and see what it is. Because that's interesting. I had no idea. Why is my shit acting up? It's being so weird. Do I need to like separate StreamYard all by itself? Yeah, I'm going to separate StreamYard all by itself away from Rockfin. I'm sorry, Rockfin. Maybe it's Rockfin that's doing it. I don't know. It just seems like my stuff is freezing up. Okay. So let's get started. I want to start with like something a little bit. It's not, I mean, it's fun, but definitely not going to get noticed by any news, like big mainstream news people whatsoever. But this is definitely something from local. It's from the 8 News now in Las Vegas. And I thought that this was really interesting. So they're finding out that this company might be working with alien technology. Says Radiance Technology has quietly become a major player in developing cutting-edge weapons and systems for the Pentagon, with 20 offices established in 17 states. When it comes to unidentified flying objects or alien technology, the company doesn't duck the topic, formally considered taboo or fringe. So yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. This came up on my feed and I was like, no way they're talking about aliens. Let's go. All right, let's watch it.
Members of Congress are hot on the trail of UFO secrets reportedly held by the Pentagon, including allegations that alien materials are being stashed and studied by aerospace contractors.
Now, at least one prominent defense contractor is letting it be known that it is actively seeking government contracts that might involve UFO technology. George Knapp has our exclusive story.
Tucked somewhere in the vast Nellis Air Force complex, a private defense contractor is working on weapons tech that may or may not ever see the light of day. That same contractor has an office inside Wright-Patterson Air Base, home to the military's original UFO investigations. With 20 offices in 17 states, Radiance Technologies has quietly become a major player in developing cutting-edge weapons and systems for the Pentagon. But unlike some of its larger competitors, Radiance doesn't shy away from a topic long considered fringe or forbidden: UFOs.
If somebody had a UFO and wanted to take it apart to figure out how it worked, you'd accept that contract?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Why not, right? I'm waiting for one of those.
He's like waiting to see an alien. He's like, yeah, bring it. Let's do it. Let's do it. He's all with a happy face, like smiling and shit. He's like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. He seems like he's just as much into aliens as all the rest of us.
Yeah.
Tim Tinsley is an engineer who spent 2 decades working on missile defense systems before he joined Radiance. Unlike behemoths such as Lockheed or Northrop, Radiance is entirely owned by its employees. Tinsley rose to become president of the company, which has its home base in Huntsville, Alabama, also known as Rocket City.
Whether we're in Las Vegas and San Antonio, Dayton, Ohio, or Huntsville, it doesn't matter. You know, the idea there is we have a core set of values that runs through the company. So we have 105,000 square feet of facility here. So it's a, made up of laboratories, classified and unclassified.
But what exactly does Radiance do? There are hints on its website of exotic defense technologies such as Star Wars-like direct energy weapons, hypersonic missiles, systems to defend against cyber warfare, and who knows what else. What are they doing at Nellis Air Force Base?
I can't tell you a lot, right? But what I can tell you is that we've supported the Las Vegas community, Nellis Air Force Base, for over 20 years. And, a lot of the work
Tell
we do.
us! Why won't they tell us? Just tell us! You're doing reverse engineering over there. I want to know. This is what we should have invaded when we were like, let's invade Area 51, like the Storm Area 51 thing that went on a couple of years ago. We should have stormed this motherfucker's business. God damn it. Just tell us. I want to know.
Mostly for the Air Force, of course, but it resides in that RD-T&E, the Research Development Test and Evaluation spectrum.
As Tinsley knows, Nellis is one of the places rumored to house mysterious materials of unknown origin. The story, first reported by us more than 3 decades ago, is that a super secret program housed in or near Nevada's Area 51 military base has been trying to reverse engineer alien technology.
They've known for 30 years that these guys have been doing this, and they just don't tell us anything. See, this is why Area 51 is so intriguing to all of us people who are alien lovers, is because of things like this. Things like this right here. I want to know what they're making.
Spread all over the world, but has been dismissed as mere folklore by military agencies and defense contractors. Now, however, Congress is nosing around. Key committees have received closed-door briefings alleging the rumors are true, and legislation is pending to encourage whistleblowers to step forward and tell what they know about crashed saucers. Radiance isn't able to confirm the allegations, but the company has positioned itself just in case. Months ago, it announced the hiring of a reverse engineering specialist, longtime Navy intelligence official Jay Stratton, formerly the head of the Pentagon's
What
UAP.
are they doing? What do they find? What do they got? Like, what is it that they have? I want to know what they're making and why do they bring him in? What is he coming in for? Like, what needs reverse engineered that they have found in there? Can we please storm this building? Please, can we get the Area 51 people together again and go in here? That's what I want to do.
Or UFO task force. Stratton urged Radiance to hire Dr. Travis Taylor, who worked with Stratton as the chief scientist for the UAP task force. When Radiance announced the hiring of the 2 veterans of UFO research, its news releases pointedly mentioned their UFO credentials.
Not worried about it creates a perception.
I saw Skinwalker Ranch. I want to read this really quick. Most recently, he was the first director of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. The UAPTF delivered an interagency whole-of-government approach to standardize collection and reporting of sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena. Huntsville, Alabama, April 21, 2022. Dr. Travis S. Taylor, scientist, author, engineer, and star of television shows such as the National Geographic's channel Rocket City Rednecks and the History Channel's The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, joins Radiance Technologies as a principal research scientist. Taylor will be supporting technical activities across the company as part of Radiance defense sector. Oh, what's that? He's all like from National Geographic's channel Rocket City Rednecks. Who the fuck is this guy? So we're bringing some like science redneck dude in here as well. I bet you it's a bunch of old white dudes. And that's all that alien people are like all about anyway too, is a bunch of white dudes. Hi, Purple Philosophy. Good morning. I hope it's not too early for my shenanigans, because I'm back at it again with this bullshit.
About it creates a perception of you as a company that is reverse engineering UFOs or something.
No, we provide customer solutions. So whatever our customers want us to work on and support them, that's what we'll do.
Astrophysicist Travis Taylor won't say what he and Stratton are working on, but made it clear what they hope to tackle.
Jay and I are working on growing the capabilities of doing reverse engineering of foreign materials and so on. And so it makes it the perfect place if we were to get something to reverse engineer, we would absolutely want to do that.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
If they were to get it, if they were to get the stuff, you know they have to have it. You know they've got it already. Come on, they're right by Area 51. They always get my hopes up with like my tinfoil hat and all of that, and then they're like, there's nothing there. Just kidding, you guys. Like, come on. Just tell me there's aliens up there. Just tell me. Ugh, makes me so mad. Yeah, I want to know what's there. So that went by pretty fast. I know it was a really quick one. All right, so I've got a couple of long ones. This is gonna be fun. Okay. I guess we'll just do it. So there was some debates over the weekend. Over in Georgia, of course. So like a few days ago, Warnock and Walker debated. And so we're gonna watch that. And then I think the night before, Warnock and Chase Oliver debated. And so we're gonna watch those. This is gonna be really, really interesting. I'm definitely gonna have a good laugh on the first debate. On the second one, I do enjoy seeing a libertarian doing the debate part with Warnock, who is I believe a Democrat. So I was watching it last night, like kind of poking in and out of it, watching it in like 2 times the speed while watching other things and then poking back and forth. So I know that with the second one, I'm definitely going to be interested. I'm going to watch it. I'm really appreciative of, I really like the ideas of the libertarian guy, Oliver, just when it comes to like taxes and, you know, economics. This is where we're going to have fun. This guy's definitely going to push, the limits of my knowledge on MMT today. So we're gonna see how this goes. Like I said, I do like a lot of things that he says. There's just a couple things like, you know, the whole balance the budget thing, which we'll get into it. It's going to be interesting. Definitely going to test my knowledge. I hope I have some MMT people up in here today to watch this with us. So that way, at least I can get some help, because I am terrified that I'm going to sit here and do this. And then I'm going to make myself look so fucking dumb because I know MMT, but then like trying to do like, you know, the little parts of MMT, like, no, this, and this is how you're wrong. And then I'm just going to be like, I'm too stoned for this. And it's way too early in the morning. But we're going to try, all right? If I got to sit here and just like lay down and get pissed off for a second and give myself a minute to think, I'm going to just do it. So, but first we're going to go for the easy one, the low hanging fruit, as I was saying last night. So this is the Warnock and Walker debate. This is pretty interesting to see them going back and forth on this. So we're going to check this out.
Again, with you have 60 seconds.
First, I'd like to acknowledge my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm one of 7 kids, born and raised in Wrightsville, Georgia. My parents taught me about faith, family, education, and the love of country. They also taught me about a good work ethic. And because of that, I found the America's dream. But this race ain't about me. It's about what Raphael Warnock and Joe Biden had done to you and your family. Tonight, he's going to try to sweet talk you that he's doing a good job, but his record speaks for itself. I'm here to tell you that they've raised your taxes, gave you high inflation. They even put men in women's sports. And I want to let you know that Raphael Warnock, we give him 6 more years. Think what he's going to do. So I'm here to fix it.
Mr. Walker, thank you. Senator Warnock, we turn now to you for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Well, thank you so very much. And hello, Georgia. It's so wonderful to be back here in my hometown. Now, I know that we're in a debate tonight, but really I come with a deep heart filled with gratitude, probably because I grew up about a mile from here in the Caton Homes housing projects. I'm one of 12 children in my family. Clearly, my preacher parents read the Bible, be fruitful. and multiplied. When I think about the arc of my life, the short distance and the long distance from there to here, I know that only in America is my story possible. My family taught me the importance of hard work and how to build the beloved community that Dr. King used to talk about, and I brought that spirit to the Senate. At the end of the day, this race is about who's ready to represent Georgia in the U.S. Senate. I think that choice is clear, and I look forward to having that discussion tonight.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to this hour. So we will start tonight with the most important issues facing Georgia voters.
Our next star, Emerson College The Hill poll shows the economy, threats to democracy, and abortion access are the top 3 issues. We're going to begin tonight with the economy. Everyday Georgians are struggling. They're struggling to pay for food, gas, childcare, housing. This week, the inflation rate, it continues to rise. Mr. Walker, we're going to start with you. You've been openly critical, blaming President Biden and the Democrats for inflation and for the economy. If elected, what is one idea that you would champion to reduce inflation? We ask you to be specific. You have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, you have to blame this administration and Senator Warnock because within 2 years, this inflation has gotten worse. They cut our energy independence.
What?
They also raised.
Our inflation has gotten worse in the last 2 years because the cost of living keeps on going up, but then the price of, people's work hours, they're not getting paid enough. So that's what's actually causing it. And it's actually something that's been pretty much just getting worse and worse and worse over the course of the last 30 years. That's why we keep having boom bust systems, is because we keep taxing the shit out of people to balance the budget, but then we let these super rich people have tax breaks so that they can, quote unquote, invest in the communities, but they don't. They end up putting their money in offshore accounts, or they put it into assets so that way they can't be taxed on it. They're doing everything that I hate these like word salads of like, they're bringing inflation and it's this president's fault. Like, no, it's everyone's. It's all y'all's fault. It's everybody that's in politics and then the rich CEO's fault as well.
Taxes. And at the same time, they reckless spending all our money. So he would sit here tonight and say that he's doing a good job for us. And you ask me, what is one job I would do to help the inflation? First of all, we got to become independent, energy independent again. And the reason why, we're going to our enemies to ask for gas and oil. And that puts us not just in an inflation problem, but it puts us in a national security problem. And I think that's something that I think
here we go with the national security problem again. Yes, we absolutely need to be oil independent, but we need to get off of fossil fuels completely. There's so much reusable energy in this world that could be used to make energy that we're literally like digging in the ground and finding dead stuff just to turn it into like fuels to energize us instead of the sun, the wind. Like there's so much regular natural energy, dams, there's like I said, there's so much regular natural energy. And he's like, we need to be energy independent on fossil fuels. Ugh.
That he grew up here in Savannah with 12 siblings. Well, in this area, most people live paycheck to paycheck. And when you have inflation the way he's brought inflation on, how in the world can you buy grocery or gas for your family?
A follow-up question to that, Mr. Walker. Most economists say that cutting government spending is the first step in economic recovery. I would want to ask you, would you consider cutting military funding or spending on social services to accomplish this goal? And you have 30 seconds.
I would not think about cutting military spending because first, I believe in peace.
See, always more money to the military industrial complex. And I'm pretty sure he's going to say something about, oh, it's for the safety of America. Like, no, enough. I don't have to repeat myself. I'm pretty sure all of you already know like how much we don't need any more military spending. So you guys are all with me on that. That's just absolutely ridiculous that the first thing he says is, no, we don't need to cut off more military spending. It's gross. Yeah, right now, supply chain issues. I would move to nuclear and push Wheat tree technology. The fuck is that? Witricity? Wait. What is that? I saw you changed it. Yeah, you fixed it. Witricity? Witricity? You can make me Google what witricity is really quick. Witricity. Hold on, let me look. Magically simple wireless EV charging. It's Witricity is a corporation, is an American wireless charging technology company based in Watertown, Massachusetts. The Massachusetts Institution of Technology spinoff was founded by Professor Marin Soljakis in 2007. Wireless electricity. Yeah. Yeah, Tesla had wireless electricity 100 years ago. So is this guy trying to do that? Interesting. Here, let me show you what I'm looking at so you guys can see too. I hate not showing you guys what I'm also. So this is what I'm looking at right here is here it is, Witricity.com, automotive solutions career company. I was going to look at this tweet. Witricity charger, meet Austin Guinness from sunny Bakersfield, California. He's excited about an electrified and autonomous future where he'd be able to fuel his EV with energy from the sun wirelessly. Hey yo. In case you missed it, we are proud to be named the winner of the 22 Tech Top 50 in the clean energy category for our wireless charging system. Congrats to our fellow honorees. It looks like they're already out there doing stuff too, so interesting. That's definitely something new that I've never heard of. Demonstrates EV charging first, new funding round with 63 million, leading the development. I mean, you guys they got $63 million. Why aren't they making it more affordable for people? I mean, if a guy in Bakersfield, California can get it, I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone can get it, but Crunchbase company profile and funding. I wish they would integrate solar panels into highways and major roads, right, with wireless electricity. Yeah, exactly. It's like they don't really care about making us energy efficient. It's about supporting the CEOs and the companies that are making a buttload of money off of selling their oil. And because people want to stay like that, we're never going to get off using that. So it's disgusting. Thank you for that. Yeah, I really want to look into that some more and see if there's like a way for this company to, like, are they implementing this stuff in towns, or just are they doing it like privatized where they're just doing individuals who are buying this? And like, are they offering help for like maybe towns that are unincorporated? Like, could they hook up towns that are unincorporated? That would be really interesting. What about like with it being wireless, what about like maybe possible fire damage? Like, because I live in the mountains in California, so I've got trees all over the place. So how would that work with it being wireless and having like, not fireproof stuff everywhere all over the place? Is it just for cities? Things like that. That would be really interesting. Shit, Jesus. I'm going to maybe bring you on one day and you can talk about it if you want. Okay, Witricity has a TED Talk. That would be interesting to watch. You're going to make me add to this too, huh? My little list just keeps growing. All right, Witricity. I added it to my list. Oh, my list just grows. Gives me something to watch, and something to learn. I definitely love to learn new stuff. So if that's something that's out there, I definitely want to know about it. And if they need help and stuff too, like, see what we could do.
Now, we had a brief war, and I think right now with Senator Warnock, who he and Joe Biden, they don't show any strength, and we have to protect this country. And I said it early on, right now, because we're giving our energy up to enemies that don't like us, we have to be ready for war. This is not a playground, so we have to be ready for war right now.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, since President Biden has taken office, inflation has reached levels that we haven't seen in 40 years. You've supported nearly every piece of legislation that this administration has pushed through Congress. Do you take any responsibility for the financial hardships currently that Georgians are facing? And you have 60 seconds.
There's no question that people are feeling pain at the grocery store, at the pump, at pharmacy counters. And while we are paying record prices, a lot of our corporate actors are seeing record profits in the oil and gas industry and the pharmaceutical industry, which is why I stood up for ordinary, hardworking Georgia families time and time again. I passed the single largest tax cut, contrary to what my opponent is suggesting, for middle and working class families in American history. And we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which had two of my provisions. One, caps the cost of prescription drugs for seniors, so they don't have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And one, caps the cost of insulin. He said he would not have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, and I think he should tell the people of Georgia why he thinks they should have expensive insulin and why the pharmaceutical companies should be able to charge us whatever they like.
Well, first of all, may I respond? I believe in reducing insulin, but at the same time, you got to eat right, because he may not know, and I know many people that's on insulin, and unless you have eating right, insulin is doing you no good.
Tell that motherfucker to stay out of fucking people's lives. I swear to God, these GOP conservatives and their obsession with wanting to know what you are doing every fucking minute of your life, whether it's, having sex, getting pregnant, getting an abortion, actually having a baby, eating healthy, eating bad, running. Like, they want to control everything that you're doing with your life. Let this person live out their life and then take the insulin that they need to do. They literally have diabetes. Let them be happy. And I'm pretty sure that a person that has type 2 diabetes cannot just go into the fucking kitchen and grab a fucking ho-ho and eat it without having to take some type of insulin to balance all that himself out with the sugar intake. So, what the fuck? Why does he do this kind of stuff? I hate GOP conservatives. I hate Republicans and how they get into like the nitpicky of what you need to do with your life. Don't tell me how to eat. Don't tell me how to work my life. Just give me the fucking medicine that I need to survive so that way I can live my fucking life without you telling me what to do.
We have to get food prices down.
I would be mad if I were you guys.
Get insulin, and you continue to pat yourself on the back. But right now, families are starving. Right now, families are hurting, and they're hurting because of the bills and the laws you're passing right now.
Senator Warnock, I'll give you an opportunity for
Listen,
rebuttal.
I meet people all the time in my church who are trying to manage their diabetes. I've been there when they've gotten the news that they've got to get an amputation. And I think we're hearing from my opponent tonight that it's their fault that prices of insulin are being gouged. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the fault of these pharmaceutical companies. Insulin's been around 100 years. The patent was sold for $1. They're engaged in price gouging, and too many people in Washington think they work for the pharmaceutical companies. I work for the people of Georgia.
Well, he's in Washington.
Can I finish? I work for the people of
Yeah,
Georgia.
but you're in Washington.
And that's why I stand up for them every single day.
Yeah, but if he actually stood for the people, Warnock did, if he actually stood for the people, he wouldn't say in the Inflation Reduction Act that he capped prescriptions. He should just say that prescriptions, if he actually cared about the people of Georgia and, everybody in America is not doing well at all, he shouldn't have a cap on insulin. If he's saying himself that insulin, when it came out, it used to be $1, now that they're price gouging, why is he saying that there should be a cap? Because even with his cap, prices of medical pharmaceuticals are still overpriced. They're still price gouging on us. He should say that they're free. Just say they're free. That's it. I mean, yes, nationally it would have to be paid for because I'm pretty sure the state wouldn't want to pay taxes on it, but nationally could cover it if they wanted to. If they wanted to.
Mr. Warnock, let's move forward if we can. A follow-up question to you, Senator, in 30 seconds. Georgians need help right now. In your opinion, is the answer another stimulus check, or is there a better option out there to deal with this right now?
We passed the Inflation Reduction Act. He's already told you he would vote against it. He's already told you that he doesn't believe.
I love how he's like, yeah, Walker's just trash. Yeah, exactly. I love how he's like, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, but you didn't pass Build Back Better. And then when you tried to pass big Build Back Better in a year later, you literally fucking just de-toothed the whole fucking thing. It's like it went from like this, beast of a bill to this like gummed up nothing, and you didn't give a shit. You didn't give a shit. Build Back Better should have been passed right along with the Inflation Reduction Act a year ago. Nothing, and the Inflation Reduction Act didn't do shit for us. We're still having inflation problems right now, and that's just because of the greed of people, and then they're blaming it on the economy and making us think that it's the economy or that it's Biden that's doing it. Yeah, exactly. They're both trash. I hate both of them.
Happy to call.
It's like we got one guy right here on the right side who seriously reminds me, like every time he talks, he reminds me of what's that one boxer? Not the one that's alive right now that has the lisp, but the one from way back in the day who like had talking problems because he got hit in the head so much. That's what this guy reminds me of. And you guys even say like, isn't he like a ex-football player for like the Dallas Cowboys? So he has like, he probably has like some brain damage from, getting hit in the head with fucking massive dudes playing football. So there's something obviously wrong with him. And then on the left side, so we've got like, weird dude that doesn't seem like he's all there in the head because of being hit in the head football. Walker is an ex-NFL player, probably has CTE. Yeah, exactly. And then you've got this guy on the left who I think the only good thing about him is that I think he's like the pastor for the same church that Martin Luther King had attended or something. But then there brings in a Democrat who's extremely religious. And we don't need that. Like, we literally have two sides of a really bad coin, like a coin that's just expired and not worth shit anymore. It's like going to America with like, or going to England with like a penny and being like, can I exchange this? Like, bitch, it ain't even worth shit. And no. That's what these two guys are. Oh man, Warnock is a Dollar Tree JB Smoove. Who is it? Is it? No, I keep on thinking like Mandela or something. Is it that no, there was a boxer way back in the day. I remember seeing a boxer in like black and white on TV, and he just couldn't talk very well at all because he got hit in the head so much. He reminds me of him so much. I can't think of it. Anyway, yeah, that's these two. So, so much excitement here.
Prescription drugs for people like my 84-year-old mother?
No,
I don't think they should. I don't think she should have to choose.
Let's let him talk. We'll get a second.
I don't think she should have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And that's why I've stood up for her, and I've stood up for hardworking families every single day. And I've stood against the corporations that are being bad actors. They're seeing record profits in the middle of a pandemic. And who exploits the pandemic?
Gentlemen, we need to move on to our next topic in the interest of time. So that's election integrity. Tina, it's all yours.
All right, Buck, thank you.
Yeah, there was people making record profits off of the pandemic, but isn't he already the senator? So wasn't he the senator during the 2 years that the pandemic was happening and that these companies were profiting? He was, man, the fucking like omitting hypocrisy of these people.
Senator Warnock, this question is for you. You have said the new Georgia voting laws implemented after the 2020 election create many obstacles for underserved communities. Yet there was record turnout in Georgia in the primary this May. According to research done by the Brennan Center for Justice, the African-American vote grew approximately 50% from 2018 to 2022's primaries. Senator, can you explain how the law negatively impacts minority votes? You have 60 seconds, sir.
So I have spent my whole career long before coming to the Senate fighting for voting rights, because I believe that a vote is a kind of prayer for the world we desire for ourselves and for our children. We register people to vote in my church. And in the Senate, I've stood up for democracy because that's the framework in which we get to fight for all of the things we care about. There is no question that SB 202 makes voting harder, and that is the intent. And the fact that many of our voters are overcoming this hardship doesn't undermine that reality. They've made it harder for folks to use the drop boxes. They've shortened the registration times. Folks are saying, you shouldn't have to, you should be able to get food or water in a line. I think the question is more fundamental than that. Why are the lines so long in certain communities and not others? And so I just want to encourage Georgia voters to keep showing up. Don't let anybody take your voice. Don't let anybody take your vote. It took too much to get here, and I'm honored to represent you in the United States Senate.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker.
He's only saying that so that people will vote him to keep winning. That's all they always say it as.
Now, in 2020, Georgia became the epicenter for questions on voter fraud. We'd like to hear your thoughts in 60 seconds. Did President Biden defeat former President Donald Trump in 2020? Again, sir, you have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, I need to mention that he said that SB 202, really, it made it easier to vote and harder to cheat. And she mentioned that more people turned out for the primary. So you got good in Washington not answering that question, because that was the question she asked you. And did President Biden win? President Biden won, and Senator Warnock won. That's the reason I decided to run, because we need a change in Washington. We need leaders that's going to stand up to foreign leaders. We need people that's going to stand up for people in Georgia, because Senator Warnock, he went to Washington.
But we're not going to get it going back and forth between Democrat and Republican, then Democrat and the Republican. Like, you're never going to end up stopping this fight. It's just going to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If Warnock loses and Walker wins, Walker ain't going to do shit. And then some next Democrat's going to come in and be like, well, he ain't doing shit, so now I need to do some shit. And then he's going to win. And then some new Republican's going to come in after him and be like, well, he ain't doing shit, so I need to do shit. And it's just going to be repetitive. How many more times are people going to sit there and fall for this back and forth? Like, our memory is like a goldfish, and we just sit here and take this every 2 to 4 years. And I don't understand, when are we going to be fucking done? I'm done with this shit. I've been fucking done. I learned my lesson the first fucking time around. I don't understand how people just keep going. Like, they, after 2 years of seeing, you know, their own governor failing them, that they're gonna think, you know, that this Republican's just gonna switch. Like, who was governor before him? Holy fucking shit. Like, I'm so sick of this two-party duopoly back and forth, because I'm sick of it. I'm so fucking done.
And I want to stand for the people of Georgia. He just mentioned he's standing for the people of Georgia, but can you tell me why he voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time if he was standing for Georgia? That tells you that he's for Joe Biden, I'm for Georgia.
And I'm pretty fucking sure if Trump was president and he was this guy was the governor, he would be voting 95% with fucking Trump too. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. He's only saying that because they're in leadership right now. And that's the kind of shit that pisses me off. Like, yo, Walker, you ain't gonna do shit if a Republican gets into presidency and you get the governorship. You ain't gonna do nothing fucking different than him. If anything, you're just gonna make things, you know, a little bit worse for the people there, because you don't want to give free people healthcare and you want to give more money to the military industrial complex. Like, he ain't doing fucking shit either. He's obviously letting CEOs fucking price gouge for everything that they can possibly think of under the sun that's a commodity in America.
Gentlemen.
I'd like to
Bullshit.
respond.
I will give you that opportunity, sir.
It is-
I will give you that opportunity, Senator. You have 15 seconds to respond.
It is very clear that my opponent would rather be running against anybody except me. But
I'm
either
happy
me,
to run
there
against
are only
you.
two people who are going to sit in this seat, either me or my opponent. And I think this race is about who's ready to represent the people of Georgia. And I'm thinking about them every single day.
But if he cut from the same cloth at 96% of the time, I'm running he and Joe Biden because they're the same.
Gentlemen, we are moving on now.
And he's cut from the same cloth as Trump. Like, I don't know. Why are you people in the audience clapping? Like, you just don't see the hypocrisy. How do people not see the hypocrisy on this? How do you not see the same shit on that side that's going on this side? He's only playing defense right now. He's a fucking football player. He knows the difference between defense and offense. That's what he's doing. He's playing defense. Well, technically playing a sort of kind of offense as well, but still, like, holy fucking shit. Like, we would literally be hearing the same thing but switch if it was in the switched scenario. It's wild to me that nobody in the audience is just lapping it up.
Next question. This is a yes or no response. And this is for both of you, Senator Warnock. Yes or no, regardless of who wins in November. Will you accept the outcome?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker, regardless of who wins in
Yes.
November, will you accept the outcome?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, Buck, over to you.
Thank you, Tina. We turn now to the topic of abortion. We're going to start with you, Mr. Walker. A week before this debate, a former girlfriend made public accusations saying you paid for an abortion and that you encouraged her to have another. In an ABC News interview this week, you said that the accusations are, quote, all lies. For the voters watching tonight, can you explain the circumstances surrounding these claims? You have 60 seconds.
Well, as I said, that's a lie. And, you know, what most thing I put it in a book. One thing about my life is I've been very transparent. Not like the senator. He's hid things. But at the same time, I said that's a lie. And on abortion, you know, I'm a Christian. I believe in life. And I tell people this, Georgia is a state that respects life, and I'll be a senator that protects life. And I said that was a lie, and I'm not backing down. And when you have Senator Warnock, people that would do anything and say anything for this seat, but I'm not going to back down because this seat is too important to the Georgia people for me to back down right now.
You've been vocally pro-life, supporting a ban on abortions without exceptions. Would you support a complete ban on a national level?
Well, first of all, see, that's not true either. I said I support the heartbeat bill. And I said I support the Georgia heartbeat bill because that's the bill of the people from Governor Kemp. And I said, that has exceptions in it. I said, I'm a Christian, but I'm also representing the people of Georgia, and that's who I represent. So what the people of Georgia stand for, I'm going to stand with them.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you've said repeatedly that the exam room is too small for the patient, her doctor, and the U.S. government. We're asking you to take a clear position right now. Do you believe there should be any limitations on abortion set by the government? And you have 60 seconds.
I think that the women of this country and the women of this state woke up one summer morning and a core protection that they've known for 50 years was taken from them by an extremist Supreme Court. And I stand where I've said I stand in the past, that a patient's room is too narrow and small and cramped a space for a woman, her doctor, and the United States government. We are witnessing right now what happens when politicians, most of them men, pile into patients' rooms. You get what you're seeing right now. And the women of Georgia deserves a senator who will stand with them. I trust women more than I trust politicians.
May I respond?
Okay, but hold on. Like, okay, so I mean, I completely, hey, stop it. I agree with him on that whole thing. But he's a Senate, isn't he? Oh, God, you guys are gonna. Is Warnock already the senator? Yeah, right, because they call him Senator Warnock. So Senator Warnock. If he's the senator, which means he would be part of the like there's Congress, and then there's Senate, and then there's the president, and those are the three that has to pass the legislation for things to come into law. And if he's been senator this year, he had the chance to codify Roe v. Wade into law before the Supreme Court overturned it. And I blame Democrats for this. So, is a senator since 2021. Okay. So he was senator during the whole overturning of Roe v. Wade. And see, this is the kind of thing I was talking about a couple of months ago. Like, we knew that this was going to happen, and we need to sit here and blame the senators and the Congress and our president for this, because Supreme Court, yeah, they did overturn Roe v. Wade, but there's been somebody who's been trying to get the Supreme Court to flip into super like Republican for a really long time, conservative. And if this guy was already the senator, they could have codified Roe v. Wade into law a few months ago before they completely overturned it. And he didn't do anything. So he's sitting there like, oh, I'm with the women and I believe the women, but he's allowing us to lose our right to abortions if we need to. So where are you on our side, Mr. Warnock? I absolutely know for a fact that Walker's not going to be on our side, but you haven't proved to us you're on our side either. So how are you going to sit there and give us this stupid ass word salad when you're fucking talking, like when your actions spoke louder than your words are saying right now? And that's what a lot of things, or the part that I want a lot of people, everyone that's watching this and anyone that's watching this later to remember, is that it's these word salads. Like, his actions have already, every Republican and Democrat that's in office and has been in office with the last few months pertaining to Roe v. Wade has already proved that their actions have spoken louder than their words, and their words don't mean shit. When it comes to loyalty and living your word and speaking your truth and doing what you say, this guy has not at all done any of that. He's failed completely and doesn't deserve any of our trust. But it's not like Walker deserves it either. I can't wait till we get to the libertarian guy. At least he's, at least he's like semi-decent. I agree with him about 65-70% of the stuff.
Yeah. It is, and I heard about him. I heard he was a neat talker. But did he not mention that there's a baby in that room as well? And also, did he not mention that he asking the taxpayer to pay for it? So he's bringing the government back into the room. So he's not talking about that. So when he mentioned that, it's like, I've not seen too many pastors that would say that statement.
Mr. Warnock, I'll give you a chance to rebut. I am a pastor. I'm a man of faith. And I have a profound reverence for life and a deep respect for choice. And because I have such a profound reverence for life, is one of the reasons why I've stood up to address this issue of maternal mortality in our country. We lead all of the Western nations on that front, and Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die, even when they have the insurance and the income. Now, that's something government could actually do something about. And I joined with Marco Rubio of Florida to pass a bill to address maternal mortality. The women of Georgia have a clear choice as we're watching women die. Do you want a senator who wants to control your life, or do you want a senator who wants to save your life? Well, I want to save your life.
Well, what's funny, I have to respond to this very quick, because he told me Black Lives Matter. And if you think about it, Senator, in Atlanta, Georgia, there's more Black baby that is aborted than anything.
And there he goes. You can obviously tell that Walker listens to Candace Owens. That motherfucker puts Candace Owens on in the morning, and he's like, yeah, she be speaking some truth today about those aborted babies. Like, this is that Black person right wing talking point that they're using, is like, more Black babies are aborted than born every year. If you care about Black Lives Matter, you shouldn't be aborting Black babies. Like, that's not your choice, dude. Unless you're going to sit there and have that fucking baby, don't tell us what to fucking do with it. I mean, I'm a white woman. I'm not a Black woman, so I can't speak for the Black woman. But at least as a woman, I can sit here and tell you, don't ever fucking tell me what to do with my body. Are you kidding me? This guy, like, how are you ever... You want to stop Black people from being killed and being murdered and stuff? Tell the fucking police to chill the fuck out. That's what you should be doing. Tell the fucking military industrial complex police officers to stop fucking murdering Black people on the streets. Because I'm pretty sure more fucking Black people could be alive right now than murdered, fetuses if you just did that. I got somebody knocking on my door. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I got someone knocking knocking on my door. I'm gonna go answer it.
Take those babies. And instead of aborting those babies, why are you not baptizing those babies?
Mr. Warnock, or Senator Warnock, will give you a chance to respond to that.
I think the women of Georgia have a clear choice. He says no exceptions, even in the case of rape, incest, or the life of the mother. I think that's extreme, is out of touch with Georgia, and I intend to do the work that senators can do.
See, he didn't read the heartbeat bill, though. Wait, he didn't read the heartbeat bill, that there is exceptions for that in the heartbeat bill. So when he makes a statement that is untrue, and I do respect that, Senator, you have to read that bill.
A follow-up question for you, Senator Warnock. We asked that you take a listen to something that you said at a rally just a couple of weeks ago.
So women, I trust women in their wisdom and their ability to sit with their own doctor. And if they choose, to sit with their pastor. And to pray about that and let their own conscience guide them. Even God gave us a choice.
Even God gave us a choice. Can you clarify what you meant by that? You have 30 seconds.
Oh, I think it's self-explanatory. God gave us a choice. And I respect the right of women to make a decision. These are medical decisions. They're deeply personal. Women find themselves in a range of circumstances. And this issue has been far too politicized. And we're witnessing right now the chaos that ensues as a result of that. And women right now who may be facing a miscarriage in some cases are wondering what will happen and how will they have to explain that. I think that's deeply problematic. There are enough politicians piling into the rooms of patients, and I don't plan to join them.
But just to clarify, in your opinion, God gave us a choice in regards to abortion.
It is apparent that God has given us a range of choices, and the people of Georgia have a choice right now about who they think should represent them in the Senate.
And may I have to respond?
Mr. Walker, we do have to move on to our next
This will be
topic.
very short, because he's correct. God gave us a choice. But also within the Bible, if you read the Bible more, God said, choose life. In the Bible, it says, I give you a choice. It's like Adam and Eve had a choice, but they chose death.
Very quickly, Mr. Walker, we need to move forward.
I think he wants to arrogate to politicians more power than God has.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. We're going to have to move on to our next topic, okay? Tina?
Okay. We are moving on, gentlemen, on the next
Oh my
topic,
God,
and
I
this is
missed
student
so
loans.
much, but I don't even care. Apparently we have to have pine needles come picked up off of our roof because the county wants us to. So that's who was at the door right now. Bunch of hot Hispanic dudes wanting to come and clean my roof. Woo!
Loans. We turn to Christian Dent, a college student and Nexstar News Nation viewer from Locust Grove, Georgia.
As a college student at the University of Georgia, me and my peers are often faced with confronting the rising costs that come with obtaining a college degree. In the United States Senate, will you support further forgiveness of student loan debt? And if so, how will you implement it in the United States Senate on a federal level?
Our thanks to Christian for that question. Senator Warnock, your answer, please, in 60 seconds.
I wouldn't be standing here tonight if it weren't for low interest student loans and Pell Grants. And in the years since I graduated, that path has gotten harder. I ran into a couple on a flight, and they wrote a note for me. They were with their one-year-old son. They said, whatever you do, please do something about this student debt. The mother said, I borrowed $35,000. I paid back $20,000. I still owe $30,000. And that's why I pushed the president to do student debt relief. He did $10,000, and with my urging, he did $20,000 for folks with Pell Grants. I think it was the right move. It will spur entrepreneurship, home ownership. It helps kids in technical schools and vocational schools, not just four-year colleges. But we need reform. We shouldn't be doing this again 10 years from now. And I'm working right now on the kind of reform we need because college is outpacing the price of everything else in our economy.
A follow-up for you, sir. What do you believe?
Right, so let's just make colleges the way it was back in the 40s and 50s. Let's just do that. But they don't care. This guy doesn't actually really care.
This should be done through executive action instead of Congress. And also, how would this be funded? You have 30 seconds.
The president's already moved to do student debt relief. And there's additional relief for folks like me who, when they got student loans, were Pell Grant eligible. But there's no question we need reform in the system so that we can get the cost of college underway. We don't find ourselves here again. And that's my position. Thank you.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, to repeat Christian's question, will you support further forgiveness of student loan debt? And if so, how would you implement it?
Well, first of all, you can see
60
that.
seconds, sir. I
Yes,
apologize.
first of all, you can see that Senator Warnock has gotten good at being in Washington because you asked the question, why did Congress not do it instead of the president doing an executive order, which is what should have been done. And as I was traveling around the state of Georgia, I talked to people. Some people wanted to go to college, they couldn't. So they ended up going and working on father's farm. Some military wanted to go to college, they didn't. So he went to the military, may have lost an arm. So this is not right. Georgia people say it's not right.
But he's like willing to fund the military industrial complex and he doesn't want to stop funding it or lower the funding of it. But he's saying himself right there, word for word, that these kids aren't able to afford college. So they're going to have to go to the, sign up for the military and possibly lose an arm. And that's not fair. That's your military industrial complex that you're wanting to keep, dude. That's what they do. So, and he doesn't care about college.
Fair. First of all, how can you transfer someone debt who owe it to someone that don't owe it? And also, Senator Warnock brags about making $400 billion that now the taxpayer, all you in the audience, got to pay for. You got to pay that debt. And I didn't co-sign for anyone's loan. I hope no one out here co-signed for anyone's loan, because I didn't co-sign for anyone's loan. And it's not right, it's not fair.
Mr. Walker, we're continuing with a follow-up for you now, Mr. Walker. College tuition, it's skyrocketed.
Well, why would he co-sign for anyone's college loan? He's not going to pay for it. He's not going to do it himself either. What the fuck was that whole point? He makes no fucking sense.
Past 20 years, what will you do to stem the cost of higher education going forward?
Well,
You have 30 seconds.
First of all, what you should do is get rid of federal funding of any college that raised their costs. Get rid of federal funding of any college that raised their costs. That's the first thing that you should do.
So that is what you would do.
Yeah, that's
We're
what I would
asking
do.
what
Any
you would
college,
do.
well, any college that raised their costs, I get rid of any federal funding that they're going to get.
Thank you.
You know,
We're moving on.
I find it interesting that folks are
Senator
offended by-
Warnock, Senator Warnock,
Yes.
I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to give you a pass for 15 seconds.
I will be very brief, I promise.
Very brief.
It's interesting to me that folks who have been crying about the student debt relief haven't said anything about multi-billionaire corporate entities who've gotten PPP loans. I wonder why Mr.
We're going to move on. We're moving on. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Warnock. Your time is up. Mr. Walker, we are moving on.
Yes,
We're going to move on to minimum wage. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get through tonight. We've made that clear at the top of the
Yeah,
hour.
he ain't lying. Like, both of them got PPP loans. I mean, he's right too, like, about corporations getting PPP loans when they don't need it. They're making like extreme amount of profits. Even our like out here in Southern California in the Los Angeles County Police Department got like a huge amount of the PPP loans and never did anything to help the community or anything like that. So yeah, he's right about that, but he also got PPP loans himself. So what the fuck is he talking about? He's just not making any goddamn sense anymore. I swear to God, these people, they're so dumb. This is our bar, you guys. This is how low the bar is for the candidates in our country. And supposedly Georgia's a really big state when it comes to elections. So this is what we got to look forward to, guys.
Let's get as many questions as we can in because Georgia voters want to know where you stand on these issues. They have to make a decision. Let them know tonight. Buck?
Thank you, Tina. Now, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 14% of Georgians live in poverty. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, a number that has not increased since 2009. Let's do this by a simple showing of hands. Raise your hand if you support a federal minimum wage. Okay.
Not one fucking hand. Neither fucking one of them wanted a fucking federal minimum wage. Can you fucking believe that shit?
So, I think right now, and he said that I want the federal government. No, he wants the federal government to run your life. Right now, I think you have to work with different corporations and see just where they can pay. There are some companies right now, and he should know this, after getting the All-Star game moved out of Atlanta, they destroyed a lot of small businesses. So those small businesses couldn't pay $15, $20 an hour. So they have to pay what they're capable of paying. So to mandate a federal fee that they have to pay hourly wage, no, I couldn't approve that.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you did not raise your hand. So why not? And what would you do to help struggling Georgians?
I believe in the dignity of work, and I believe in the dignity of workers. I watched my dad work really hard to take care of his family. And I've seen what we call essential workers. These folks are on the front line, stand up for us in the midst of the pandemic. We call them essential workers. They deserve an essential wage and essential benefits. In other words, workers deserve to participate in the prosperity that they are creating for others. And so I've been a part of this conversation around the minimum wage. I think people need a livable wage. And some of that is being addressed right now in this strong labor market. So I'm willing to work with folks in the corporate community as well as the labor community to figure out how we get to a good place. But there's no question people deserve to participate in the prosperity that they're creating for others. They deserve a livable wage and they deserve benefits.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. We're going to move to our next topic, Tina.
And that topic is crime and violence. In June, Congress passed the first bipartisan legislation to combat gun violence in 30 years. According to a Pew Research poll released in July, 78% of Americans think the new gun law will do little or nothing to reduce gun violence. Senator Warnock, I turn to you first. As the number of shootings in Georgia and across the nation continue to rise, what should be done? What should the next step be to solve this issue? You have to answer this question, sir, and I give you 1 minute.
Well, I'm glad that we finally passed the first gun safety law in 30 years. And we did that on a bipartisan basis. I believe that this law will indeed save lives. And I'd like to see us work and see what we can achieve beyond that on a bipartisan basis. My heart goes out when I see the kinds of tragedies that we're witnessing all across our state, all across our country. And it's the reason why I have passed legislation to support law enforcement. I passed the largest investment in the COPS program in a decade. I introduced legislation called Invest to Protect that's endorsed by the sheriffs of Burke County and Scriven County.
Womp, womp, boo, boo.
So we got to stand up with law enforcement, but we've also got to create opportunity.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, we're posing the same question to you, sir. In 1 minute, what should the next step be to solve gun violence?
Well, first of all, any law or bill passed that affect anyone's Second Amendment, I'm not going to stand for and I won't support. But third, to hear Senator Warnock talks about supporting law enforcement is sad because he's called them names. And because of the name calling he's done, the morale is down, recruitment is down, only because of what he's done. He's empowered criminals to think they're better than the police.
So people don't want to be police officers because people are realizing that they can't go and obviously handle the situations that police officers do. Nobody wants to die in the line of duty because it's like a really, scary job to have. And also police suck. And it's because of this guy, Warnock, is the reason why police recruitment is down and police morale is low. There's something wrong with him. I swear there's something wrong with him. No, of course not. It doesn't have to do anything with, the poverty of people in his communities or the lack of mental health care that they could possibly be getting if we had, like England's NHS, things like that. But no, it's Warnock's fault. It's Warnock. Always blame the person and never blame the system.
And because he believes in no cash bail, is releasing prisoners, he don't protect the border. Fentanyl is coming to this country and also into Atlanta. 70% of the drugs coming from the border.
No cash bail, illegal immigrants, drugs into the country. Typical fucking Republican talking points. Like literally word for word, when they always talk about those three things, they talk about them together. And it's fucking insane to me how they could sit there and say that it's this one guy's fault.
Goes to Atlanta, Georgia. And he talks about the police. I have more sheriffs that has endorsed me than anyone running in Georgia right now. And I even have some sheriffs here. They've endorsed me because they know I have their back. They're going to have my back. So to listen to him say that after calling them name, I think it's a disgrace.
Mr. Walker, thank you. I have a follow-up now for both of you.
I think I ought to be able to respond to that.
I will give you the opportunity, 15 seconds to respond, Senator Warnock.
We will see time and time again tonight, as we've already seen, that my opponent has a problem with the truth. And just because he said something doesn't mean it's true. I have supported our police officers. I've called them and I've prayed with their families, like those officers lost in Cobb County when they were killed, doing what police officers routinely do. You can support police officers, as I've done, through the COPS program, through the Invest to Protect program, while at the same time holding police officers, like all professions, accountable. One thing I have not done, I've never pretended to be a police officer, and I've never threatened a shootout with the police.
And now I have to respond to that.
This motherfucker's like, oh wait, just wait. He's like, I gotta respond to this. He's about to pull out his badge.
I am with many police officers, and at the same time,
Mr. Walker, excuse me, Mr. Walker, please, out of respect, I need to let you know, Mr. Walker, you are very well aware of the rules tonight.
Yes.
And you have a prop.
Yes.
That is not allowed, sir.
Yes.
I ask you to put that prop away.
Well, it's not a prop. This is real. And he said, I have a prop.
Yeah, exactly. Rules. One of the main rules when you're in a debate, you're not allowed to bring props to help with what you're saying. You got to be able to say it in words and not bring something. And technically that is a fucking prop. He brought something in. He's like, it's a real thing. Oh God. It's like a kid showing his daddy like his new, I don't know, like his tool set, but it's all made out of plastic. He's like, I can build stuff with you, Dad. Dad's like, sure you can, honey.
Mr. Walker, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
You're very well aware of the rules, aren't you?
Well,
aren't you aware of the rules?
Brought up the truth. Let's talk about the truth.
Thank you for putting that prop away. And as a matter of fact, we still have a lot to get to, and we are not going to continue this. We're going to follow up with a question, and this is according to the CDC. Homicide is the leading cause of death for African-American youth. Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, why do you believe this is happening, and what would you do to stop it?
Well, what I would do is hold people accountable, which is Senator Warnock not doing. Believing in no cash bail, no accountability, that is a problem. People must be accountable for their action, and the truth lies with Senator Warnock. Because he said he was going to Washington to represent Georgia. He went to Washington to represent Joe Biden. That's the reason we're in the mess we're in today, because he represents Joe Biden and not the truth for Georgia.
Senator Warnock, this follow-up for you. Same question. What do you believe homicides among African-American youth is growing? Why are those homicides growing, sir? And how do we stop it?
Well, it's heartbreaking. And I've seen this up close as a pastor. I've presided over some of these funerals. I've met with young people. And we have to have rules and laws in the society, which I support and I've invested in as a legislator. At the same time, we have to create opportunity. There's no sickness like the loss of hope. When people lose hope, when they doubt that their life can be any longer or that they can dream of something bigger than the street they live on, a lot of things can happen. I grew up in one of those neighborhoods, but I had a nurturing family, and I benefited from good federal public policy, like the Head Start program, like Upward Bound, like Pell Grants and low-interest student loans, and to invest in our children is to invest in our best resource.
Senator Warnock, thank you. We are moving on.
But he
to the
doesn't
next report.
actually do that. He hasn't proven that he stands for the children of his community at all. And this guy blames it on fucking no cash bail. Like, what the fuck?
And this topic is about personal integrity. Buck.
We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Senator Warnock, in 2020, you tweeted this: unemployment benefits have expired, rent is due, and many Georgia families are at risk of eviction. My opponents are supposed to be serving the people in Washington, but they are clearly concerned with their own interests. Well, recent published reports talk about a property that your church owns, Columbia Towers at MLK Village in Atlanta. It's a home for the disadvantaged. At least a dozen lawsuits have been filed by residents evicted for not being able to pay their rent. Some of the outstanding balances are less than $30. As someone who receives more than $7,000 a month for a housing allowance from Ebenezer Baptist Church, how do you explain this to Georgia voters who are struggling currently to make ends meet?
Well, let me say that serving in the United States Senate and continuing to serve my church is the honor of my life. And it gives me a lens through which to do the work that I'm doing. But here's why you know I'm running against a desperate candidate. Anytime a candidate would stoop to the level of trying to sully the name, he and his allies, to sully the name of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church and John Lewis's church, you know that's a desperate candidate. Let me tell you about my church.
Yeah, but
My
the church is
has
giving you $6,000 a month to live wherever you want, while your community is literally suffering and losing their homes over $30 late fees. Are you fucking kidding me? Talk about that instead of like whipping it around to something different. This fucking straw man bullshit, man.
We spend every week, every day feeding the hungry and the homeless. They know that those false charges that they've created are not true. We stand up for poor people every single day, and I ran for the Senate to do at a policy level what we do at a local level every single day.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Holly. I know I had to put it on. Where is it? It's at 1.5 speed, so it's not like full on. But this video is almost an hour long, and I did not want to sit here for a full hour, so I figured 45 minutes might be all right. This thing takes forever. I'm probably not going to watch until the end. I'm probably going to give it, I think technically, oh no, this thing goes all the way to the motherfucking end. I don't know if I want to watch the rest of it because we still have the Warnock and Oliver debate to go over too. And I really want to get into that one because the libertarian guy says some good stuff. So yeah, we're watching this at a little bit faster speed than normal. It does make them look funny. I do like to watch certain people in speeds just because, like, you could really tell how twitchy a person is when you watch them in a faster speed. It's super funny.
Distracted by him and his allies. My people know the truth. They know the work we do every single day, and I couldn't be prouder of them. Proud to represent the Senate and proud to serve Ebenezer Baptist Church.
So just to clarify, your position is that the allegations in these lawsuits are not true?
I am saying that it is very obvious that my opponent and his allies are busy trying to sully Ebenezer Baptist Church.
So then what he was saying was true. He didn't deny it. He gets $6,000 from the church while his own community literally goes homeless over $30 late fees. He didn't answer the question.
That's the problem with the truth.
Switching gears a little bit here, sir.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Holly.
Saying that she had to pay for childcare on days that your duties as a senator interfered with your parenting time and citing significant increases in your income. In 30 seconds, what is your response to that lawsuit?
Listen, I went through a divorce, like a lot of people. And while that was a painful period, what came out of that was 2 amazing children that I just talked to before I came on this stage. And my children know that I am with them and for them, and that I support them in every single way that a father does.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Now to you, Mr. Walker. Recent ads have highlighted allegations of past domestic violence. They've raised questions about how transparent you've been as far as your resume. In 1 minute, how do you respond to voters who question your integrity, both personally and professionally?
First of all, I've been very transparent, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I said I had a mental problem, and I'll be a champion for mental health because so many people suffer from mental health. But to have people like Senator Warnock that demonize mental health, when I want to tell everyone out there, you can get help. Don't listen to Senator Warnock and his people. You can get help. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. But the problem with the truth, you just saw it. You just saw it because he won't answer that about evicting the people from the church. And I told him I will pay that. I'll pay that salary. You're evicting them right now.
We have not evicted. We have not evicted those.
I didn't write the article.
I didn't
write the article. And most other people out there spend my time.
I'm okay with the discussion. If you start talking over each other,
we have not evicted the tenants. And he should take that money and pay it back to the veterans that he exploited while pretending to run.
And see, you can tell that he's not desperate. Because if he had read in that thing, he would have saw that I had nothing to do with that. But he is so desperate right now. He really wants that seat. He's now telling you, I didn't evict anyone. It is written in the paper. I didn't do this. Well, Senator, you did. And it's okay to speak the truth. Do not bear false witness, Senator. Do not bear false witness.
Mr. Walker, to keep this moving, I want to follow up with you. You have been very
I mean, he
open
kind of got him on that part because, yeah, Warnock was definitely beating around the bush when it came to answering the question about him getting money and people being evicted in his community and stuff. So he definitely got him on that one for sure. Les Bones, what's up, dude? Yeah, I'm going to be doing some hardcore gaming today after this. So Fortnite got its new Fort Nightmares, so it's all scary up in there, and I'm gonna be playing that today. Woo, woo, woo.
Senator Warnock, I need to move forward here. You have been very open about your struggles with mental illness, and you even wrote a book about your diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. We recently asked if you were still receiving treatment, and this is what you had to say.
No, that's all done. And you don't need to. And that's why I tell people. I think one thing I told people is I've been open about it, and I was open about it, 14 years ago.
Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, can you clarify this? Are you saying you no longer have dissociative identity disorder, or is this something that you continue to this day?
No, you don't have to have treatment for it. And I encourage people to continue to talk to people. I talk to my pastors. And I continue to get help if I need help. But I don't need any help. I'm doing well. But that's the reason.
Wait. He's getting help from his pastors, and that he doesn't need help with DID. This man has dissociative identity disorder. I just want you guys to know that back in the day, that used to be called multiple personalities. There's a spectrum of DID. I am not here to bash DID. I respect DID completely and absolutely. It's just very hard for me, as much as I understand and have followed and have researched and have watched people who have been vulnerable enough to show themselves on the internet and talk openly about their DID and show it. It's very scary to know that this man is going to be leading a state as a senator with that, because like, I know that DID has a spectrum, but how do we know for sure that it's Herschel Walker that we're talking to and not one of not one of the other living things inside of his head, the peoples. There's you have protectors and you have the villains in there. You got all kinds of different you can even just have one, but there's also, you have littles in there. Anytime that a person has gone through, that person that has DID has gone through a really traumatic experience or something that they just, makes them uncomfortable, that's not very good for them, they can't mentally handle the situation, okay, that they're in. And so what their natural mind and body to do is to shut off and let another person or another person in the head take over for them because they can't handle it. If we were to go into, like, let's say we were going into nuclear war with Russia and this guy was the senator, how do you know that he can handle the situation? How do you know that he's not going to disassociate and have another person coming up to in front? And that's who we're dealing with. And Warnock is no longer there. That's the scariness of having somebody as a leader with dissociative identity disorder. And until Warnock himself can show us all and have all the beings inside, or the people inside of him, the lives inside of him that are living, show and front, so that way we can see who is all in there, I wouldn't trust him, because he's only showing us one, which means that he is, and he said that he's getting help from the church, which is pretty much going to tell him that, God is going to help you and this is a demon pretty much in your head. So what he's going to be doing is he's going to be pushing those back further and further and further, which is going to make his mental health even worse, because those people in his head are not going to go away. They're not just going to disappear because God said so, because Invisible Sky Daddy said so. This man has DID. This is a very serious thing that could really hurt could hurt communities if he can't handle situations mentally. That's scary. That's something that we shouldn't have to deal with somebody running for office. If you guys ever want to learn about DID, there's a really good YouTuber. Her name is Disassociated on YouTube. She is amazing. She's been off and on for probably the last 3 or 4 years on YouTube talking about it. She's talked, she showed us her experience, her life, the different identities that come out, how they've switched, how they've changed, how she's gotten new ones, how some have left and melded, how some of them have melded into others. She showed us her littles that live inside of her head still. So if you want to learn about that, Disassociated is really, really good at teaching you about it. And that's where I think that you guys can get an idea of how this man probably, now that he admits that he has DID and he's actually not really getting any help except for religious ways, that this is probably not mentally healthy for this guy to be doing something like this, especially with a community that's expecting him to make them better.
Anyone out there that is suffering from any type of mental illness, you can get help. All you got to do is ask. And I will always be a champion for mental health.
And just to clarify, how can Georgia voters, though, be assured that this will not impact your ability to lead if elected?
Because I'm ready to lead today. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters, whereas Senator Warnock has voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time. I'm ready.
Right. He's ready to lead today, but what about all the rest of them in there? You know, he's getting advice from religious leaders, which is probably saying that he has demons in there. So he's like, I'm ready to lead today. Like, what are the rest of your people in there telling you? Because I'm pretty sure they're not ready at all. And you're just sticking them back further and further and further to where they're just going to end up, you're going to have to face this full on. Like, the universe eventually is going to tell this guy, like, yo, you got DID and you need to fucking handle this shit.
Vote with the Georgia voters today.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to our next topic, Tina.
And that topic, gentlemen, is health insurance. Georgia is one of 12 states that have not accepted federal funding to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. Mr. Walker, with more than 1.5 million Georgians uninsured, in 1 minute, is it time for the federal government to step in to ensure all Georgians have access to health care?
Well, right now, people have coverage for health care. It's according to what type of coverage do you want? Because if you have an able-bodied job, you're going to have health care. But everyone else have health care is the type of health care you're going to get. And I think that is the problem. And what Senator Warnock wants you to do is depend on the government. What I want you to do is get off the government health care and get on the health care he's got to get you a better health care. So that's what I'm trying to do, to make you independent rather than dependent.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
That made no fucking sense. That made no sense.
1 minute.
Because Warnock has that, like, you know, what universal health care would be. He pretty much has that. Like, all senators and politicians have that already.
Pay gap by expanding access coverage in the Affordable Care Act marketplace. So this comes with a $50 billion price tag, the national debt already at an all-time high. Where is this money coming from? You have 60 seconds, sir.
This is not a theoretical issue for me. When I think about healthcare, I think about Lori Davis, a trauma nurse in Covington, Georgia, who spent her career taking care of people. And then she got sick and she had to give up that job. And then she got sicker and sicker. She found herself without healthcare. She was one of the 600,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. She died for lack of healthcare. And so I ran saying that I would fight to expand Medicaid. Georgia needs to expand Medicaid. It costs us more not to expand. What we're doing right now is we're subsidizing healthcare in other states.
You know what a really good way to expand Medicaid and Medi-Cal would be is to drop that shit down to age 0. Bam, wham, done. Thank you, ma'am. But I'm pretty sure he'll never fucking say that. So
we've seen 10 hospitals in this state close, 10. And the Atlanta Medical Center right down the street from my church, where I visit my members, has announced that it's going to close. And so Georgia needs a senator who believes, like I do, that healthcare is a human right. And I will continue to fight until the working class people, by the way, the folks who don't have healthcare, they work every single day. The folks who are in the gap,
I believe in that.
the folks, let me finish. The folks who are in the gap, the folks who are in the gap are the working poor.
We are moving on, Senator Warnock.
Listen,
Mr. Walker, if I can get your attention, please. In just a few weeks, Wellstar will close its doors.
She's all, Mr. Walker, if I can get your attention, please. Like as if he's just an unruly toddler. I'm loving this toddler thing about him. I mean, I really hope he doesn't get elected and I hope he doesn't win because it's really funny to sit here and make fun of this guy, how people are not noticing how fucking childlike this guy is. Oh, it's so ridiculous.
Which primarily serves patients and
like this guy's going for like toddler status, and then this guy's going for like saints status, like holier than thou status. So you got toddler and invisible sky daddy over here.
Communities, hospitals nationwide are dealing with nursing shortages, doctor shortages in the wake of the pandemic. Mr. Walker, what measures can Congress enact to ensure everyone has access to hospitals and doctors? You have 30 seconds, sir.
Well, first of all, Senator Warnock was correct that he believed in working with people, but he didn't do it because Governor Kemp has a plan that would have been a very good plan. But he stood back while Biden destroyed the plan. And he's talking about he believes in the extension of it. He stood by. Well, what the people can be assured of is I'm willing to meet with hospital administrators, meet with people rather than writing a letter, because Senator Warnock waited till they made the decision and wrote a letter. And I said, they don't need a pen payout. They need solutions.
We are moving on now. Senator Warnock, that same question to you, sir. What measures can Congress enact to ensure everyone has access to hospitals and doctors? You have 30 seconds.
Well, clearly he doesn't have a solution.
Well, I said I'll meet with administrators. That's a solution.
He said his solution is to meet. My solution is to pass legislation, which I've done. I got $4 billion in the American Rescue Plan to help the non-expansion states to do what they should have done to expand. They left that money on the table. Georgia left 600,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. And so I'm going to keep standing up because people are literally dying for lack of health care. Dr. King said that of all the injustices, inequality in health care is the most shocking and the most inhumane. I agree with Dr. King.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Buck, now the next topic.
Thank you, Tina. We're going to talk about foreign policy now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened to use nuclear weapons in the conflict with Ukraine, prompting President Biden to claim that we are on the verge of Armageddon. Senator Warnock, if nuclear weapons are used, how should the United States respond? You have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all,
okay, a senator from Georgia. Oh, shit, I fucked up. I went all the way back. A senator from Georgia should not be answering that question. Sorry.
Which is why I stood up to the Biden administration when it suggested that we should close the Savannah.
Should the United States respond? You have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that we're standing up to Putin's aggression, and we have to continue to stand up, which is why I stood up to the Biden administration when it suggested that we should close the Savannah Combat Readiness Training Center. I told the president that was the exact wrong thing to do at the exact wrong time, and I'm glad that I was able to stand up with Congressman Buddy Carter and others.
I swear, Holly, like right here, where you're like enough stories at that second part, that is so goddamn true. If I have to hear this man right here that's talking say the word "I" at the beginning of every fucking sentence continually over and over again, I did this, I was there, I saw this, I helped this, I blah blah. That constant I is so annoying to me. That just shows that there's a type of narcissism in his head when every answer that you give is telling people what you've done instead of giving an answer of, I'm a senator, I'm running for senator, and I should not be answering this question. We should not be in war, period. Period.
And we kept that training center open. I've seen up close what those service members do. They are the tip of the spear, and we have to make sure that our service members know that we have their back. We have to strengthen our allies and the NATO alliance as we've done, and make sure we stand up to Russian aggression. Nothing could be more important.
Wow. Build the NATO alliances that we've, or strengthen the NATO alliances that we build and show Russia that we're not afraid of them. The reason why NATO is the reason why Russia was doing all this is because we broke a promise and is expanding NATO. We're trying to add like Ukraine into NATO and all these other little places, and we're expanding it, and we promised not to do it. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He's not even making any fucking sense because he's sitting there doing the whole like, Russia invaded, so they're the bad guys and they did it first. Like, yo, this shit has been going on for years. Are you kidding me? We're the fucking aggressors. Leave Russia alone.
Question to you: if nuclear weapons are used, how should
leave Ukraine alone?
Talk about standing up. You didn't stand up to Chuck Schumer when you could have got a helicopter company here of almost $1 billion. You let it go to New York. You didn't stand up then. You didn't stand up to Biden when he left American people and had 13 military soldiers killed in Afghanistan. You didn't stand up then. So what we can do is Putin is a bully. And the way you beat a bully, show strength. Well, Senator Warnock say he stood up. He's not stood up to Biden. If he was standing up, he wouldn't have voted with him 96% of the time.
This guy's like begging for fucking nuclear war. You know, stand up to a bully, stand up to Putin. Who's the real bully here? We are. We're the fucking bully. Putin's just like, fuck no, I ain't dealing with this shit no more. Are you kidding me? This is why I don't watch mainstream news. I forgot. It makes me mad.
It gave us an open border, which gave us high inflation, which gave us crime in the streets.
I'm gonna make some more coffee and let you guys watch the rest of this, and then we'll get on to the next one because this shit's pissing me off.
It is evident that he has a point that he tries to make time and time again. I've stood up to the Biden administration so they could keep open this combat training readiness center, stood with our congressional delegation to do that. I've worked across the aisle time and time to get good things done for the people of Georgia. I worked with a senator from Texas to build out I-14. I work with a Republican senator from Alabama to help Georgia farmers get their products to market. I will work with anyone and stand up against anybody I need to stand up against to get good things done for Georgia. I work for the people of Georgia.
We need to move forward to our next topic, gentlemen. Our time is running short. Both of you have strong backing from your respective parties. Senator Warnock, a simple yes or no here. You will have a chance to explain, but I'd like a simple yes or no. Would you support President Biden running for a second term in 2024?
I've not spent a minute thinking about what politicians should run for what in 2024.
Is that a yes or no?
The answer is I have not. And maybe this is difficult. Maybe this is difficult for people to understand because that's how politicians think. I think that part of the problem with our politics right now is that it's become too much about the politicians. You're asking me who's going to run in 24? The people of Georgia get to decide who's going to be their senator in 3 days, Monday. And I hope they'll show up and vote. And I'd be honored to represent them in the Senate.
You haven't thought about it. If you can think about it now, in 2024, the president will turn 82 years old. Are you concerned about his physical and his mental fitness at that time? You have 30 seconds.
The people of Georgia hired me to represent them regardless of who's in the White House. I'm honored to do that job every single day. My dad said if somebody hires you to do a job, do the job they hired you to do. They didn't hire me to be a pundit. And I'm working every single day for hardworking families in Georgia, for our women, for our workers, and for kids like me growing up in places like Hayden Homes.
Mr. Walker, former President Trump is also considering a run for the White House in 2024. If you can give me a simple yes or no answer, and we'll give you time to explain as well. Would you support a Trump 2024 run?
Yes, I would. And let me tell you, President Trump is my friend. Has nothing to do with that. He's my friend. I won't leave my allies, which is what Senator Warnock and Joe Biden did in Afghanistan.
Man, these guys are just too much.
These people don't trust us no more. They don't trust us to be strong anymore. So they're waiting to see who's going to stand up, who's going to trust. And they have no one to trust right now because I said President Trump is my friend. And he won't stand up with Biden when yet he's voted with him 96% of the time. Let's be real.
Mr. Walker,
you still didn't answer if you support Trump. God, these people. All right. I definitely am over this. There's only 7 more minutes left, and I really don't care. I think that we should watch the other one. I think it's going to be a lot more fun, a lot less stressful.
Get some meaningful.
Let's see. We can start. Okay, yeah, I think this is going to be a lot more fun. So, man, that like you agree. Man, that shit is just so stressful and annoying to watch the Republican Democrat platitude talk. I can't wait to watch this libertarian just fucking throw all these dudes under the bus right now. This is going to be so much fun to watch.
Voting rights laws passed.
Well, thank you so very much. It's great to be here. Want to thank the Atlanta Press Club for organizing this event. I think it's important to point out that my opponent, Herschel Walker, is not here. And I think that half of being a senator is showing up. That's half of life.
So that's like, I guess, like the majority or like the big thing that happened with this thing was like Walker wasn't there. He didn't want to show up because he just went to one the other day and then he had to get interviewed. So he just didn't want to have to do it. And so everybody's like, meh, 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 meh. Yeah. So that's all.
Georgia, time and time again, especially on this issue of voting rights. I believe that a vote is a kind of prayer for the world that we desire for ourselves and for our children. I've worked hard to create a framework so that we can preserve our democracy. So I will not rest until we pass voting rights. I was John Lewis's pastor, and he didn't have any reason to think he could win, but he didn't give up the fight. And if he crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge, we'll have to figure out how to get through whatever bridge we need to, procedural or otherwise, until we get voting rights secured for every Georgian. And I won't fight until that happens. I won't finish until that happens.
Thank you. Peter Biello, your question for Chase Oliver.
Mr. Oliver, the Department of Veterans Affairs is one of the largest bureaucracies in the federal government. Several VA secretaries have advocated for both the modernization of the VA and for the preparation of the growth in the population of veterans, particularly in the South.
Tell me that guy doesn't have like a Loki look to him. You know, like Loki from Thor. He's got like this like sexy villain look about him.
Elected to the Senate, what specific changes would you support to help the VA both modernize and prepare for the growth of the population of veterans?
Thank you for the question. I think one thing we can do for our veterans in reforming the VA is allow veterans to go outside of the traditional VA system and use money so they can go to regular hospitals. And speaking with veterans, they can tell you that the most broken thing involved when they come back from war is the VA system, and we need to do better by our veterans. And you mentioned that we're going to have more and more veterans. You know, one of the reasons I became involved in politics is because my generation was the generation that was set to fight wars for the last 20 years, and those veterans are coming home with a lot of injuries. And what we need is we need a foreign policy that's more focused on peace and less focused on becoming the world's police and involving ourselves in the Middle East and things like this. The war in Iraq produced many veterans.
I have to give him a secular amen to that one. Holy shit, man. Bring it on. Talk about this generation, how we've been in war for 20 fucking years and how people like my age and younger know people that have been hurt in that war. That's right.
We're coming home with a lot of injuries, and my generation are the people who are going to suffer from that. And there's scars that are seen and unseen. So yeah, I'm committed to helping veterans, and the best way to do that is to allow them to get the healthcare they want and not be stuck in a broken VA hospital system. So free it up and let them go to the hospital that's nearest to them. Thank you.
And now you get the final question in this round for Raphael Warnock.
Senator Warnock, you've been vocal about your support for student debt relief. The Department of Education estimates President Biden's plan to do so will cost an estimated $380 billion. What do you say to those who are protesting this cost, especially those who have been able to pay off their loans or those who weren't even able to go to college?
Well, I'm the first college graduate in my family, and I wouldn't be standing here were it not for Pell Grants and low interest student loans. I paid off my loans. But as I move across this state, I'm encountering folks who 30 years after I finished school are finding it harder and harder. We've seen so many bad actors in that space. And too many of our kids have a mortgage before they have a mortgage. And we're not just talking about kids in who finished four-year schools. We're talking about vocational school. We're talking about technical college. Herschel Walker gave a nonsensical answer the other night. He basically offered a proposal that would bankrupt the university schools in this state. And it's one more reason why he's not ready to represent the people of Georgia. I know that without student loans, I wouldn't be standing here. We need to reform the system so that we get control over the costs. But I will show up every single time for the young people in this state.
Thank you. That concludes the first round of the debate. For the second round, the candidates will question each other. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond, and the candidate who asked the question will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Each candidate will ask two questions and may pose one question to Herschel Walker, who's represented by an empty podium. By random selection, Raphael Warnock, you may ask the first question to Chase Oliver.
Well, Chase Oliver, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for showing up. And I understand that you're very frustrated with the two-party system. And I can tell you after being in the Senate for nearly 2 years, I share some of the frustration over the divisiveness, and I've tried to overcome that. I'm listed as the 18th most bipartisan senator in the Senate. I'd like to know from you what you think I could bring to Washington.
This guy said you're tired of the two-party system, and he's like, I'm the most bipartisan senator. He literally is done with the two-party system, and you're like, I'm the most willing to work with the two-party system. What the fuck? I hope this guy really fucking trashes him right now.
To overcome some of this unnecessary division in order to get things done for the people of Georgia.
Well, thank you for the question. And you are right. I'm very frustrated with the partisanship that goes on in Washington, D.C. And the truth is you can be the 18th most bipartisan senator that we got there. But the fact is even the most bipartisan of senators isn't really doing a lot of work across the aisle. And the fact is this is because there's this hyper-partisanship that we have. Nothing is getting done. There are big issues that are facing the voters here in Georgia, things like immigration reform, things like justice reform. And this is going to require somebody to step outside of their partisan circle and sit down with everybody regardless of their political affiliation. And I just don't see that coming from Republicans or Democrats. They're more concerned with speaking to their base, speaking to their constituents than getting the work done. So really what we need is somebody like myself who's going to sit down and owe no allegiance to either party, owe no allegiance to Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell, and actually get work done for the people of Georgia, regardless of who they have to work with and if they have an R or a D next to their name. That's what we need to do.
This is the kind of stuff that I love about third parties is that, man, that shit gets me all riled up. I love that shit. Oh, yeah. Get it, evil Thor or evil Loki.
Listen, I work for the people of Georgia, and I think I've demonstrated that time and time again. I worked with Ted Cruz to get I-14 named a priority corridor so we could revitalize these sections of our state, connect our military bases. I worked with the Republican senator from Alabama to help Georgia farmers get their products to market, overcome trade barriers. I worked with the Republican senator from Indiana to deal with dangerous railway crossings. I passed a bipartisan jobs and competition bill.
The two-party system is bullshit. How many more times are you going to tell us that you're a Democrat and that you're working with the Republican Party? And after that guy just said he's done with the two-party system. And then how he's going to work with the people and not have to worry about bipartisanship to get things done. And the thing he brings up is I worked with Republicans. Like, you're back down to the two-party system again, dude. Oh man, I hope more third-party people watch this and people that are like on the fence of like leaving both parties because they're sick of the Republican and Democrat Party. I really hope that they watch this and watch this Oliver guy, because I'm telling you, like, we're 6 minutes in and this Oliver guy got me pumped the fuck up right now. I am so stoked. Exactly. This clown needs to sit his ass down. Oliver is proving his point. Exactly. Yeah, or this guy is proving Oliver's point. For sure is. He's like literally saying like, I work bipartisan with the two-party system. And the libertarians like, no, the two-party system is done, dude. You guys have not shown us shit ever. It's wild. It's oh man, yeah, he's getting me all riled up. Exactly. Nancy Pelosi, we need a strong Republican Party. No, bitch, you don't. No. What the fuck? Why? So you guys can go back to victim mentality and think that you guys are the good guys and the Republicans are the bad guys again? You just been in power too long, so everybody's starting to see through your bullshit. Like you're the Oz, the Oz dude behind the curtain, and everybody just pulled the curtain on you. You want them to close it back and pretend like they never saw it, because once you open that curtain and you see Oz behind there, you're never gonna not remember that. It's just woo. Go libertarian, dude.
And I will do anything, work with anybody necessary to get good things done for Georgia.
Thank you. Chase Oliver, you get the next question for Raphael Warnock.
So Senator Warnock, we will be hearing all about the spending bills that you have supported and that you have said yes to while we're suffering from record inflation and a $31 trillion national debt. The CBO themselves said the Inflation Reduction Act wouldn't actually reduce inflation. So my question is are you actually reading the bills, or are you just taking Chuck Schumer's word for it when you vote on these things?
We are in the midst of
Ooh, I love it. I'm here for it. Let's go.
Response to a record pandemic that created an economic shutdown. And as a result of that, we've seen rising costs. While we're paying rising costs, corporations are seeing record profits, which is why I passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Herschel Walker said that he would not have passed the Inflation Reduction Act. And I want the people of Georgia to think about that as they consider who's
Here
ready
we go
to
again.
represent.
He's like, I passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It didn't do shit for us. It didn't stop inflation. And then he's like, let's blame it on Walker, who isn't here right now.
Them in the United States Senate. Two provisions in that act, which I wrote, caps the cost of prescription drugs for seniors, so they don't have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. By the way, that provision alone helps to reduce the national debt. We have given Medicare the ability to negotiate the price of prescription drugs. That's a $300 billion cut in our national deficit. Also, it caps the cost of insulin, another provision I wrote. So I think Herschel Walker, if he were here, should tell the people of Georgia why he thinks they should pay for expensive insulin, and pharmaceutical companies should be able to charge us whatever they like.
Mr. Oliver, 30 seconds to you for a vote.
So my answer to that is, I asked if you had read the bill. The bill itself doesn't reduce inflation. So I wouldn't run on I voted for the Inflation Reduction Act if you're talking about how you've reduced inflation in the United States Senate, because that bill doesn't do it. And the truth is we can talk about insulin and price caps and these things later on in this debate. But the fact is people aren't reading the bills in Washington, D.C. They're getting the bills handed to them by leadership. There's not real debate. There's not real amendments. It's not real legislating. What we have is we have leadership handing the bills at the end of the day, and you're voting on the next day a 1,000-page bill. You're not reading the bills. And if I'm elected to the United States Senate, we will have somebody who is reading the bills.
Yeah, get it. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to sit there and have the people read these, bills that actually help us and have to, go through it and nitpick and be like, no, we need to take this out and this out. Like I was telling you, like the Build Back Better, how they detoothed it. Like it's been a year and they still haven't passed that, but they can pass, the Inflation Reduction Act, but not the Build Back Better bill, because the Build Back Better bill would have actually helped the people instead of giving, tax cuts and credits to a whole bunch of wealthy billionaires like what the Inflation Reduction Act did. Because that's all they do is like, let's give tax cuts to these corporation owners so that way they can quote unquote invest in America, and then they never do. So yeah, I'm really enjoying what the fuck this guy is saying to him. So 10 drugs in 6 years. Right.
Your second question to either Chase Oliver or to Herschel Walker, who's represented by an empty podium. You have 30 seconds for the question.
Well, if Mr. Walker were here, I'd ask him about this disturbing history of violence that we've seen from him. And we're not just talking about one woman, but multiple women.
Right. And that's what's annoying is like they don't read the bills that, benefit their CEO friends and their corporate friends and all the rest of that. Like they'll just be like, yeah, let's pass this. But when it actually comes to helping society, like let's say, I don't know, like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or something decided to come out with a bill that actually helped the people, they would just sit there and waste time and probably never even bring it to the floor. It was kind of like what happened with like, when California was trying to pass the state-based Medicare for all, and they just never even brought it to the floor, and it never got brought up, and now it has to start all over again. But like their friends, if their friends need help or their friends want some extra cash, free government welfare money, they're like, yeah, let's just pass it. Don't even have to read it. It's the hypocrisy of all of it that pisses me off.
He threatened to kill his ex-wife, put a gun to her head. He's threatened other women. And when asked about that, he really hasn't given account for this kind of violence. And I want to know from him why he thinks he's ready to represent the people of Georgia, and if he's ready to face up to this history of violence as he talks about representing us in the Senate.
And now, if Mr. Walker were here, you have a chance to rebut what he would have said.
Well, one of the things he said in response to this, he suggested that I'm a preacher, that I don't believe in redemption. I preach about redemption every Sunday, and I believe in redemption. And one of the things I've learned about redemption is that you have to confess. You have to acknowledge and be honest about the problem, and he has not done that. And at the end of the day,
that's what I don't like about religion. Like, hold on really quick. That's what pisses me off about religion is the whole redemption thing. Like this, okay, so a person can like murder a bunch of people, spend time like their entire life in jail, you know, and like right before death, they like repent, you know, they're like, please forgive me for everything that I've done. I've been a horrible person my whole life, but now I want to switch my life to you, God. Please, before I die, please forgive me for everything. I'm really, really sorry. And like, supposedly if you're like extremely repentful and like, you know, resentful of what you've done, you can go to heaven, you know. But like if you're an atheist but you've lived your entire life as a good person, you've donated to the homeless, you've given help, you've helped people, you've done everything your entire life to just benefit your human society and make yourself a good person, but you're an atheist, to them you won't go to heaven. It's like, well, then I don't want to go to heaven because it's the people that you're allowing in there. Like if heaven was real, I wouldn't want to go. The people that you're allowing in there is more disgusting than the people that are going down to what you consider hell. I'd rather go down to the hell where those people are, because they could be the best people in the world, but just because they don't believe in you, they're going to hell. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm afraid to go to heaven. Like that's where I'm scared to go to, because you're letting fucking murderers and shit go in there. Nah, bro, I'm good. I'm way good. It's so gross. Exactly. Be wary of preachers who own property. I know. Lady, stop. Kitty just wants to chill. I'm sorry, the background noise. I got like my dog on my lap, but my cat just came up and she wants attention. And lady, Miss Doggy Dog's not having it. So she's sitting there. She's so ridiculous and I love it. Exactly, who owned property. Like that one guy who was that pastor that like did that like really angry face where like his finger was pointing and like his eyeballs were sticking out. That guy literally had people donate money to his church so he could get a second jet, because he said he didn't want to fly in regular class airplanes with regular people, because he thought that those people that take regular airplanes are demons and he didn't want to be surrounded by demons. So he needs a private jet. 2 of them. Just saying. It's so fucking gross, the things that, these religious people say and do and like talk about, but then they're like all holier than thou and shit. It's so fucking gross. Yeah, can you see that? He's like debating a phantom. He's like, let me ask Walker a question. And then the guy's like, well, he's not here to answer it, so what would you say to rebut? And he's like, well, here's what he would say. Like, are you like straw manning for him? What are you doing right now? I cannot believe that the clown show that's going on with this right now. But yeah, no, I remember doing this, like the whole Indivisible thing when they got big. And everybody was wanting to hold a town hall with their representative. Like a lot of the Indivisible people, we ended up just holding a town hall and like pretending like the politician was there. I think for our Indivisibles, we had a cardboard cutout of Paul Cook, and just had people going up there asking Paul Cook questions and like just having the microphone in front of the cardboard cutout of Paul Cook, so that way he just never said anything. That's what they do. They're like, if you're not going to show up, we're just going to pretend to debate you as if you are here, but you're not.
This race is not about
cringe.
who's been redeemed. This race is about who's ready to represent the people of Georgia in the United States Senate. And by not showing up tonight for the job interview, by giving nonsensical answers, by this history of violence, Herschel Walker shows he's not ready.
Chase Oliver, for your final question. You may also ask Raphael Warnock a question, or Herschel Walker, who's not here.
So I will ask Mr. Walker this question. You appeared on the debate stage with Senator Warnock in Savannah 2 nights ago. I wasn't invited to that debate, though I really did want to participate. So my question is simple. Why do you agree to the only debate that doesn't invite all the candidates?
And Mr.
Right.
Waddle-
Ooh, he made such a good point. I didn't even think about that. Like, I was saying like why Walker didn't want to come, but do you think there might be like this secret reasoning behind because he didn't want to have to debate against a libertarian? Because a libertarian would fucking blow a Republican out of the water with like the populist, rhetoric and theories that the libertarians have. I mean, just giving a libertarian a spot on stage for a debate is huge news, and it could definitely change the mindset of the people who are watching, especially the amount of people that are watching this. But that makes a fucking good point. Maybe part of the reason why Walker didn't want to come on here is because he knows that his Republican views are like play toys to what libertarians can come up with for the people. So, man, he makes such a good point. You're so smart, sexy Loki. That's why I'm just going to call this Oliver guy. He's just a sexy Loki, and he's gay too, so I can't hit on him, but he's so cute. Lady wanna apparate to another universe listening to this debate? Yeah, absolutely. She don't want to be here. I mean, she's super comfy, but yeah, no. Here, you guys want to this is the kind of boo-boo that I have to deal with when you guys are here. You ready to see this? Check this out. Look at thems. Look at thems. You say hi? You guys say hi? You say hi? They're absolutely ridiculous. This is what I have to deal with. There's usually one animal on my lap right here at all times when I'm streaming. This is just one of the rare occasions where I can actually get two of them on here at the same time without fighting. So, and it seems like I'm doing a good job. I mean, Lady is definitely comfy, but you could tell she's a little annoyed that Izzy's on the lap. But I think Izzy just got herself comfy enough to where Lady just doesn't care. Izzy just wants attention. She's super, super attention needy right now because she's in heat. So I've been trying to give her, I looked it up online and they said that if your cat's in heat and you want to like try to make it stop is just give her lots of pets. And so I've been just giving her lots of pets on her head, trying not to go past the shoulder. So that way nothing, below the waist starts getting like agitated, so that way she doesn't start getting the little ooh feelings. So I've just been petting her head and making her feel loved so that way she doesn't go off on the other animals and tries. Yeah, apparates like Dobby. She wishes. Shit. You think she would be best friends with Brownie? Maybe. All right, let's finish watching this. You guys got me all sidetracked and shit. Now I gotta cut this shit out with a clip later.
To what Mr. Walker might have said.
So I imagine he would say something like, I'll debate anytime, anywhere. But the fact is we're right here, and I'm ready to debate him. I was ready to debate him 2 nights ago in Savannah. I'm happy to debate the senator here tonight. If you're going to represent the state of Georgia, you need to be able to show up. And I think Republicans need to know now that there's a candidate who's willing to show up anytime, anywhere. I'll have 5 more debates with you before the election if I need to.
Who's Brownie, though? I don't know who Brownie is. You gotta tell me who Brownie is. I have no idea. Hi, Ollie. Are you back? Oh, you're so funny. All right, let's watch this.
But I'm going to stand up for small government, lower taxes, and a platform that relies on trusting you and not letting the government make every decision for you. And Herschel, I guess, was scared to have competition on stage trying to speak that message.
Thank you both. That concludes our second round. For those just joining us, this is the general election debate between candidates for the U.S. Senate. Well, I'll go back to the panel to ask questions to the candidate of their choice until we run out of time. And as a point of moderator privilege, I may also ask questions to the candidates, and I'll determine when a rebuttal is appropriate. Stanley Dunlap, you get the first question in this round.
So we had a controversial right to carry constitutional law that passed in the Georgia State Legislature this year.
Oh, is that Jimmy Dore and Steph's dog is Brownie? Okay. I don't know, maybe. Lady's a bitch. She don't like nobody, so I don't know. I don't I haven't paid attention too much really to, I mean, I've seen her dog on there, but I haven't really paid too much attention to it. I usually, like, if I'm watching Jimmy Dore or something, it's usually just on in the background because he's on for like hours. So I'll like get into something that he's talking about and then just drop myself out and not really pay attention. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Maybe one day. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never even met them before, so I don't know. Hell of a job, Brownie. Brownie and Lady. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. You never know. It seems like she'll be friends with anyone right now because she's in heat until I get her fixed, but I think she's a little bit of a bitch too because she needs to get fixed as well. I think once she gets fixed, she might calm down a little bit so yeah. Right. Right. I know. I know. Okay, you're back and forth, Holly. Okay. Yeah, I know. I literally like watch like Warren and just, our regular little crew now. Like I'm starting to get my own little schedule in. And now we've added a couple more people to it, like the Matrix guys, and then Rochford. So yeah, I'm definitely starting to add some more smaller channels, so that way I don't give my views to the big ones that already have enough views. I know that the people that I follow and the people that I watch on YouTube pretty much have the same opinions as like what Jimmy Dore or what I would think is, or whoever would think. So I just exactly, yeah, Willie Bragg's as well. Definitely Willie Bragg's show too. It's really cool to just have our own little small community, and then seeing all of you guys in there too. It like just reminds me, okay, cool, I'm in the right spot. So yeah, no, I'm really enjoying like starting to get our own little like our scheduled program, like regularly scheduled programs every day. It's really nice. I know, me too. I want to start watching Willie more. I just started following him. Well, I mean, I've been following him on YouTube. I just started following him back on Facebook. We just became friends. So I'm definitely going to keep my eye out more for him now that we're friends on Facebook, because I get a lot of my notifications from there too. So you need to watch Willie. Well, good morning, Ghost Star. I'm pretty. Are you on the West Coast like me? Because I totally feel that. That's the hard part about being on the West Coast and then starting this show at 10 a.m. because if I was on the East Coast, it would be so much better. I could start at 1 p.m., get that morning stuff in. And I'm over here on the West Coast. Like I could get up at, 8:30, 9 o'clock and, start at 10 and still have my morning everything. And no, I have to have like my morning wake and bake and my morning coffee with you all here. And it's so hard because I got to test my brain as well. Like my brain tries to like go on full speed once I wake up, but it does take myself a little bit of time for my brain to go. So I'm sitting here watching fucking debates and shit and like super hardcore issues and videos while my brain is still trying to function and come up with like anything about it. So usually around like 1 o'clock, I'm awake in like the last hour or so. I'm like, all right, I'm awake now. Let's go.
With without getting a permit. And we also had this summer, Congress passed a gun reform law. For Mr. Oliver, and this question is for both. But first, for Mr. Oliver, what are your views on the balance between gun owners and constitutional rights and the needs for call for gun reform? And for both of you, what else can be done to address the mass shootings and gun violence in regard to that?
1 minute, beginning of Mr. Oliver.
All right, so I first want to say that I'm a proud gun owner, and I respect the Second Amendment. I think everybody has the right to defend themselves from violence, and if we look at where a lot of the gun control laws in this country come from, it comes from a place of historical oppression and, frankly, racism and bigotry. We have a pastor here from Ebenezer Baptist. There was a previous pastor from Ebenezer Baptist who was denied his right to carry when he wanted to defend himself. I think that's wrong. I think people should have the right to defend themselves if they so choose. Now, how do we address gun violence? The truth is we've always had guns in this country. The way you're not going to address gun violence is to be doing gun confiscation or passing unconstitutional red flag laws that do away with people's due process. The way we address gun violence is we have to address the culture of violence in our society. And that's not something that you can really do with a piece of legislation. That's something we have to come to terms with, and that's something we have to speak to our families, to our friends. But at the end of the day, no, I'm not going to support red flag laws. I'm not going to support gun confiscation. I'm going to stand up for people's right to defend themselves. Because at the end of the day, I'm a member of the Pink Pistols. Armed gays are harder to oppress and they're harder to bash.
And 1 minute to Raphael Warnock for that.
Look, okay, I don't like getting into the whole gun thing as well because my husband is a gun owner, which technically makes me one. I just don't like when people own like more guns, like the price of all the guns that they own is more than like their house, like when you're like the gun collector. Because the thing is like, I totally respect the Second Amendment. If people want to own a gun, that's totally fine. But then we have to remember the history of it too, you know. A lot of the reason why, like he was saying, racial injustices and then protection. But then the thing is like when they were saying that people can own guns when they created the Second Amendment, back then, the only kind of guns that they had were the ones that you had to like, you know, put the powder in and then pack it and then put the bullet in. And then, you know, it took like a really long time just to get one shot. And now we just have these like automatic rifle, you know, ARs and like with the bump stocks to help it even shoot even more bullets. It's just, it's because the Constitution hasn't evolved with the creation of and the amount of different guns that capitalism has brought to us, and so is the military industrial complex. That's where I'm thinking like there should be some kind of like update of this Constitution to help to where, you know, at least when it comes to like the owning of guns, you know, like the automatics and stuff is a little bit scary. I don't think that really people should be owning that. Maybe like they can go to like hunting places and rent one, or like shooting ranges and rent it, you know, things like that. But I don't see the point in trying to take everybody's guns away, especially with like, you know, the way that our system has forced even more poorness upon people. Because I can't hate on people who decide to, you know, rob a store or rob a grocery store for food to, you know, or steal and things like that, because I understand the desperateness of the human mind, especially with the, you know, oh God, austerity that the country is literally forced upon us, when we're just trying to make our lives better and just live our lives. And the lies and the manipulation, so we can, you know, force austerity onto ourselves as well. Like they manipulate us into thinking that we need austerity to be able to survive and, you know, to get better, but it never ends up happening. So yeah, I think, you know, I'm really iffy when it comes to the subject of guns, because like I said, my family owns guns, and I don't really like the whole owning of a lot of guns. And then, but I also do understand like the need for them to protect yourself, and, you know, and then the necessity to make the country better, and then the remembrance of what were guns like when this law was created and how much they've evolved over time. It's a huge big mess when it comes to guns. It's not just, you know, plain and simple black and white. So
shootings that we keep seeing in our country, this doesn't happen everywhere. Doesn't happen anywhere else, and we have to come to terms with that. Now, I support the Second Amendment. But you can support the Second Amendment and still believe in reasonable gun safety. And I'm proud that for the first time in 30 years, we passed a gun safety law on a bipartisan basis. And I think that if the Senate were more responsive to where the people are on the left and the right, we'd get more done. Most Americans support universal background checks. Why can't we get that done? Because too often the voices of the people have been strangled out of their own democracy by all of this dark money. Which is something I tried to address in the voting law that I kept trying to pass. And I'm going to keep trying to pass because democracy is at stake. And I can only think about how heartbreaking it must have been for those parents in Uvalde and worshipers in California, so many places. But I'm glad we're able to get more done, and I'd like to see us build on that effort.
Thank you. Emma Hurt, it's your turn to ask a question, please.
This is also a question for both candidates. Georgia is the only state in the country with this specific kind of general election runoff structure that affects this race here as well. Do you believe that should change, Senator Warnock?
A minute, please.
Here's what we know is that early voting begins tomorrow. And at the end of the day, either I'm going to be in this seat or Herschel Walker, who hadn't shown up tonight, is going to be in the seat. That is the reality. And so I want to encourage everybody to show up for early voting. It begins tomorrow, goes through November the 4th. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep doing everything I can to help the people get their voices back in their own democracy.
So is that a yes or no on the runoff structure question?
Look, I have to accept the rules as we currently have them, and I'm willing to have that conversation on the other side of this election. But right now, there's so many things at stake that I'm really focused on that.
Mr. Oliver, same question to you. 1 minute.
So yeah, I would reform the system, but what I wouldn't do is do away with runoffs. I believe you have to have over 50% of the voter support to really represent us. You shouldn't be getting under 50% and going into office. So I do support the structure we have, but we can actually improve upon that. We can do instant runoff voting, ranked choice voting. So that way you go into the booth and you pick your first, second, and choice on down. And then we don't have to wait weeks and additional millions of dollars of media.
This motherfucker said ranked choice voting. Woo-woo! Get it, dude. Bring that shit out to the public more and more so people understand what that shit means. Fuck yeah. Then this motherfucker would actually might have a fucking chance instead of that fucking Warnock dude going and saying the only reality is the only two people that are going to make it into the office is either me or Walker. So totally just ignoring fucking sexy Loki over here. Can't fucking believe this shit. If we actually had, like he said, the things that he's saying, he actually might have a fucking chance. It's such bullshit the way that Warnock talked about sexy Loki like that. Such bullshit.
Ad buys and YouTube ads that we all don't want to listen to anymore. We can actually just have the runoff right there on election day. That's a real reform that would save the taxpayers millions of dollars, make sure that our democracy stays responsive to the people and represents the people. That's what we can do to improve our democratic process. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do away with, we don't want to have plurality voting, because if you're under 50% support, you shouldn't be getting sent somewhere to represent 100% of the people. So what we need to do is we need to reform to ranked choice voting, instant runoff voting, and I would support that every day of the week.
This is pretty important.
Warren, tell me he doesn't look like a sexy Loki. Like if Loki from the Thor went and put on a suit and tie and cut his hair and decided to run for politics, tell me that motherfucker wouldn't look like him. Woo! He's like political sexy Loki.
Or you shouldn't be getting sent somewhere.
Wait, what? Why are the disabled banned from guns? Seems like the only way they could defend themselves. I didn't know that disabled people couldn't have guns. That's fucking crazy. It just goes to show you that the only people that the government really in mind had from the beginning and still has today that should own guns is white homeowners. Isn't that the way that it's always been? It just looks like they're continuing that. There's nothing really different. It's just the way that it's changed, like the way that they're showing it. So Warnock is the preacher, but this guy has a tie with a preacher knot. Ooh. Mr. Sexy Loki.
To represent 100% of the people. So what we need to do is we need to reform to ranked choice voting, instant runoff voting, and I would support that every day of the week.
This is pretty important. Let's do 15 seconds to each of you, because I think Mr. Senator Warnock has his hand up for. You had a point?
Well, I just want to say that the people of Georgia can avoid a runoff. They can show
Tell
up.
me why libertarians are all fucking hot. That's what I don't fucking understand. Why is it every single fucking libertarian I've ever seen in my lifetime is so hot? I don't get it. It's not fair. I think that's my type, is libertarian.
For early voting. I think most of us don't want.
Somebody comes up and they're like, "So you got to type in dudes." I'm like, libertarian.
Let's see a runoff. There's bipartisan agreement on that point, and so I'd like to see people show up beginning tomorrow.
Mr. Oliver, 15 more to you.
I think voters deserve a chance to, have their voices heard, and they shouldn't have to be lumped into one box or the other. They shouldn't have to be shamed into voting into two parties. And most of the people who vote represent themselves as independent. So it's important that we have voices that are independent of the two parties on stage. And instant runoff voting prevents a runoff every time. So if we pass it, we won't have one.
Thank you both. Peter,
So
it's your turn to ask the question.
Thank you. This question goes to both of you, but first to you, Mr. Oliver. Social Security payments are set to rise to keep pace with inflation, and that has some people worried about the solvency of Social Security. So if you are sworn in as a senator in January, would you take steps to protect Social Security? And if so, what would those steps be?
60 seconds.
Well, first, my parents, they live on a fixed income. So I know the struggle of living on a fixed income. There are people right now who depend on Social Security for their livelihood. I don't think we should take Social Security away from them. But for people my age who are never going to see Social Security payments, we're paying into it, but that system will be insolvent by the time I retire, by the time our kids retire. They should have the option to step out of the Social Security system and put their money into a private market if they so choose. If the market is working better, which it often does, people will have better retirements. And you can make that choice. You can choose to stay in the Social Security system if you want. You're not going to get that money when you retire because the system will be insolvent. But I think people should have the choice to where they put their money for their retirement. You should control your retirement, not the United States government.
Senator Warnock, to you.
It's only because the government isn't proving that it's taking care of the people. you put a money into, you know, the taxing of the taxes of it, but they every year come up with like, this is how much we're going to give to Social Security. So he does kind of have it wrong right there a little bit. He is right that the Social Security is probably going to be insolvent by the time that we hit the age for it, but that's not because our taxes aren't being held, and you know, like they aren't being held for Social Security for our future, but they aren't. The government isn't doing anything. If anything, like they're cutting funding. You know, like these are litigations. Like these are, you know, like the laws that are being passed to defund these programs, kind of like what they're doing with the Postal Service. You know, they when they come up with the price of how much they're going to pay off each year or give to these you know, American national programs each year, they are giving up less and less and less money while they're increasing the amount of money that they're giving to the military and military industrial complex like Lockheed and Northrop and all the rest of them. So it's not us doing it. It's the government that's doing it by laws that they're changing with the money that they're, you know, I'm going to get in trouble for this, printing, you know, they're creating out of nowhere to help fund these things while they're defunding everything else. So yeah. You prefer librarian. Librarians are hot too. Ooh. Yeah, Social Security does work. We just got to get the government to say every year that they're going to be funding it, because it does. It absolutely does work as long as the government continues to fund it, but they keep trying to defund it more and more every year, especially when Republicans come into office. And it's just such crap that they keep doing that to us, because people think that like we're paying into it and that it's being like held in some safe or something, but it's not. It's just being added to taxes every year and then deleted to lower the debt clock. So, and that's all it's doing is like, it's really hard to, you know, explain it. This is what I was telling you guys earlier. Like these motherfuckers are really testing my economic knowledge, really fucking testing it, especially this early in the morning for me. Woo. This generation is paying for the current generation of Social Security, not investing for themselves. I mean, that's pretty much it's not, they're not paying to, for the current generation, but yes, the taxes that are going to that is paying off how much they are providing from the year before. So yes, in a sort of kind of way, like they're paying off what they've already put out, but you see they keep putting out less and less and less, and then we're still being taxed. So it's just this like fake manipulative bullshit that they're doing and not understanding MMT and then making us believe that they're right. So you're more of a Martian. No olives, please. Or Martinian. No olives, please. But what about Oliver? You could take one Oliver, right? A Chase Oliver. He's cool. Like that's an olive I could take, Mr. Loki Olive. Jeez. I gotta go back to bed.
Tax Social Security. And there are folks who want to privatize it. And Social Security can be preserved. We can make sure that it's there for the generation that needs it now, for my generation, the generation after that. And a vote for Herschel Walker will further advance the agenda of those who want to rob Social Security. It's one of the reasons why I passed the Inflation Reduction Act. We've got to protect our seniors. And one of the things we did in that law was we finally gave Medicare the ability to negotiate the price of prescription drugs. And I think about that because I ran into a woman at a hearing I had named Gretchen Spring. And she and her husband literally maxed out their credit cards, paying for medicine in the evening of their lives. And we finally gave Medicare the ability to negotiate prescription drugs. And Herschel Walker says he would vote against it. So I will protect our seniors. I will protect their Social Security. I will protect their Medicare.
That's your time. Thank you.
Senator Warnock, if I may follow up with you, are there specific steps that you would take if you were given a full term in the Senate?
We can ask for corporations to pay their fair share. Here we were giving Medicare the ability to negotiate. And apparently Herschel Walker thinks that's a bad idea. He thinks they should be able to charge us anything they want. We don't suffer from a poverty of resources. We suffer from a poverty of moral imagination.
Mr. Oliver, some follow-up time for you then. On that.
So, you know, you can't charge any price you want for drugs. What you can charge is the price that people are willing to pay for it. And right now, drugs are being subsidized. Big Pharma is subsidized to the tune of billions of dollars a year by our government. And the truth is they should compete in any marketplace like anyone else.
Right. Subsidized means they're getting free money from the government. Just so you guys know, that's free taxed later free money from the government. That's what a subsidy is.
Oh, I am one to say that I don't want expansion of government into our healthcare. When Obamacare got passed, we saw what that happens. Prices rose and overall care diminished. Even if you got a plan, your deductible
that's where he's omitting something a little bit, because the Republicans got a hold. We were supposed to get universal health care, and the Republicans got a hold of it and started D2-ing that one. Democrats went along with it. And they're like, okay, Republicans, we'll work with you guys and lower it a little bit and make it more reasonable so y'all can pass it too. And now it's some toothless Obamacare ACA bullshit that's not even doing anything but actually raising the prices and then mandating for us to have to pay for it every year. Like when our taxes come in, like when it's time to pay taxes and shit, they're like, oh no, you have to, it's mandatory. Remember they were doing that for a little bit? They're like, yeah, you have to pay for insurance. Like, just give us Medicare for all. Fuck, it's not that hard. I'm about to bring Stephen Jaffe on here one day to talk about this because he talks about it so well. He's really, really intelligent when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry and our taxes and universal health care and all of that stuff. He's really good about that.
So high that it basically was useless. So no, I don't support expanding government into more healthcare. We need to bring market forces into healthcare that are going to lower the prices. Arbitrary price caps, like the senator talks about with insulin. That's
one thing I don't like about libertarians, and they talk about, is like privatizing everything. Like that's the problem that we have right now with capitalism, is that we've privatized everything and now everything costs. When you privatize things, you turn things from national utilities and necessities into commodities. And so that means that they're worth more and that you can make a profit off of them. That's why the prison industrial complex is a for-profit industry, and that's why a prison in Arizona is literally suing the Arizona state because they don't have enough prison inmates in there. Like, you're literally forcing people to be in austerity and suffer so that way you can make a profit off of it. And that's the problem with privatizing things, is that it turns it into a profit motive, and then people suffer because of it, because it turns it into a commodity, something that's worth something, instead of being something that's necessary for the people to actually live normal, healthy lives. Here we go. Miss Sherry's up in here. Here's our other intelligent lady. Okay, let's see what you got to say. What he isn't saying is that Obamacare was originally a Republican program developed by the Heritage Foundation. Ooh, Sherry coming in with the heat today. That's what I knew Sherry was going to be able to say something too. I swear she's really, really good at all of this as well. So yes, I completely agree. Like I was saying, the Republicans got a hold of it and they were like, nah, we ain't dealing with this stuff. We're breaking this shit down. You can't do this today. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Holly. Hillary helped mess it up. Exactly.
To talk about what will solve that problem and help people who are suffering from diabetes afford their insulin.
Thank you both. Stanley Dunlap, next question for you, please.
My question is for both of the candidates. First, Mr. Oliver, you mentioned one of your priorities is immigration and fixing the immigration system. And then we've seen issues arise from ICE detention centers to how migrants are handled when they arrive in the country. And what would you do as a libertarian to kind of bridge that gap? Because it's a pretty wide divide on how they handle that in Congress. And then also for Senator Warnock, do you believe like there's been enough done? There's been some criticism from organizations like the ACLU over President Biden's handling of that. Do you feel like, what are one or two things you'd like to see done or accomplished in the next term?
Beginning with Mr. Oliver, 60 seconds.
So, we've been talking about bipartisan immigration reform for the last 20 years, and it hasn't gotten done because of hyperpartisanship. We need somebody in the United States Senate that's willing to sit down at the table with Republicans and Democrats and fix this broken system. We need the immigration system to be more efficient, less costly, and more responsive to people. And we don't need to be putting people in cages, especially those who are seeking asylum. Their claims should be heard and respected. We claim to be the light of liberty unto the world, and if we seek to hold that mantle, we have to fix our broken immigration system. And I'll work with anyone in the United States Senate, regardless of party, to get that done. Again, right now, it is too complicated to work in the system. So we have millions of people who step out of that system and come here without documentation. The way to fix that is to fix the system and to make it easier for people to enter into it. We don't demonize people for coming here and wanting to work and put down their roots, because that's what my family did when they came here generations and generations ago. Almost everybody came here from somewhere else. And it's about time we respect the immigrant story, the immigrant journey, and fix our broken immigration system for them and for us.
Fucking secular amen to that, sexy Loki. You just went up to another notch to being hot again. That notch you lost with the economic stuff, you just gained it back with the immigration. You're hot again, dude. You're back up. You're back up at a 10. This is sexy Loki, everyone. just so we know, we are calling him Loki, sexy Loki.
In recent days with dreamers, and they'd like to see us fix our immigration system. This is the only country many of them have known. I spent some time with business leaders in recent days, and business leaders across the state and farmers are calling on us to fix the immigration system.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's back up a notch to being a solid 10 again. Yeah, he's really good on immigration. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that. Exactly. I know. And most libertarians are pretty decent on immigration policies. So he's very good about, like, fixing it, making it easier for them. And even saying the fact that, like, these migrants that are moving from other countries to here are valid, hearing that from somebody is super, super important, because that's what a lot of people don't hear every day is, what they do, what they say, how they feel isn't valid. And hearing that they're valid from him, and wanting to help him, keeping him out of cages, man. Yeah, he definitely got it good. I want to see what Joe Evans. I think Joe Evans here at Care TV is the same as well. So if you watch Joe Evans, he's a libertarian and he has his own show. And I swear there's like so much similarities between these two. It's so awesome.
System. Here's the deal. We have solutions to fix this. It's politics that gets in the way, because we have a class of politicians who are so focused on the next generation, the next election, that they're not thinking about the next generation.
He is too. Like, how is he literally said earlier that he couldn't answer a question because he's too worried about winning now. And now all of a sudden he's not worried about winning. He's worried that other politicians are worried about winning now instead of fixing the problems. This is so hypocritical of him to even say something like this. He's literally backtracking his own fucking words and being a hypocrite on his own words.
How to work across the aisle. I'm committed to doing that. Maybe it has something to do with being a pastor. I'm used to working with whoever comes in the door. And so we've got to get comprehensive immigration reform done in our country. It's good not only for immigrants, it's good for business. It's good for our economy. We can do that and secure our border at the same time. And it's past time folks stop demagoguing this issue and work on the problem. That's something that I'm focused on.
That was so vague. That wasn't even anything. And that just proves that you're just a Democrat and you want there to be a problem in the immigration system just as much as Republicans do. Because we cannot forget when Kamala Harris went on stage and went and told the immigrants, do not come. It literally is the exact same thing as what the Republicans are doing. You're no fucking different. Libertarian all fucking day. Bring back sexy Loki on the TV. I don't want to see your fucking face anymore. Raphael Fartnock, what a time to join in. Yes, we are sitting here making fun of the religious Democrat, Mr. Warnock, while fawning over the sexy Loki, Chase Oliver. So we're about to watch Mr. Sexy Loki again. I'm sitting over here just drooling over Oliver. So just don't mind me. Good to see you, Yona. Good to see you. Thank you for coming by. This is so much fun.
But I will
Come on, Sexy Loki, give it to him.
In the hurt. Next question to you, please.
Senator Warnock, on Friday in the debate, you said that reports that a foundation affiliated with your church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, attempted to evict low-income tenants during the pandemic from a housing complex are not true. But those are reports based on court filings against those tenants, and the state of Georgia is now also investigating that foundation for not properly registering as a charity. So how do you reconcile all those documents with the denial of the story?
Well, I'm actually glad you asked that question, because this is one more example of Herschel Walker and his allies lying. First of all, there were no evictions, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that. And my church has no direct involvement in the day-to-day operations of that apartment building. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that. What you're dealing with right now is a desperate candidate who's not here tonight, and he's resorted to trying to sully the name of Dr. King's church, John Lewis's church, for short-term political gain. It didn't work the last time. They attacked my church the last time. It didn't work. My church is a Matthew 25 church. We believe that when you show up for the least of these, you're doing God's work in the world. We won't be distracted. We'll keep doing that work. And I'll keep showing up for the people of Georgia, bringing at a policy level the work that we've been doing.
Good morning, Teresa. The reason why I call them hypocritical is because this guy has been in office for 2 years, and he keeps promising different things and saying that he's done all these things and telling us stories of how he helped it, but nothing has actually changed. So I would assume that that is pretty much the definition of hypocrisy. If we sat here and waited for every politician to wait for a tide to stand up, then we would all be dead before any actual tide comes. Because I remember in 2017 and 2018, we were all about the blue wave. And then now we've had the blue wave come in. The president is Democrat, Senate majority is Democrat, and we've had the next one down, all Democrat as well, Congress, all Democrat. And what have we gotten from it in the last 2 years? The overturn of Roe v. Wade, the detoothing of the EPA. We're just seeing all these things that with the majority of Democrats that they could have done in office that they haven't done. That seems like a lot of hypocrisy, at least in my eyes. Of course, we know the Democrats are extremely hypocrites, but seeing it in the Democrats' part as well with all of this is definitely something. And like I said, we can't wait for a tide to roll up because we will always be waiting for tides. We've just had a blue wave not too long ago, and look at what it's proven. It hasn't proven anything. It hasn't proven the betterment of anyone. What are all the American communities right now doing for the indigenous people after finding out that American churches actually held indigenous people and try to whitewash them and take them from their communities and switch them too? That's just, we're not doing anything for them right now either. There's so many things that our government and our Congress, our president and our Senate could be doing with the majority, and they haven't done it. So that's where that is. That's where I feel about that. Hands are tied. Yeah, exactly. YouTube hid my comment. Which one? Which one did they try to hide? I don't think they hide them in here on mine though. So if Warren is here, he can show it. He should be a mod on here. I think you might be too, Les Bones. I'm not sure. I can't open my phone. I'm at 1% on my phone. So my poor phone needs to charge, and my fucking charger's outside, and I don't feel like going to get it. So, all right, let's continue this.
For years at the local level.
Did you get your question answered, Don?
Just to be clear, so you're saying while there might have been attempts to evict, nobody was actually evicted?
There have been no evictions. Full stop.
Peter Briello, it's your turn to ask a question.
This question goes to Mr. Oliver. President Biden has called climate change an existential threat. Daily high temperatures are getting higher. Polar ice caps are melting. Storms are becoming more powerful. Sea levels are rising. If you are Georgia's senator next year, what legislation would you introduce?
They're giving a libertarian environmental question. I'm excited. Let's go, Loki.
To not just improve our environment, but limit and bring down carbon emissions, which have been tied to climate change?
Well, I think it sounds great to say that we could just magically pass a bill and stop using less carbon and lower the carbon output, but that's just not the way it's going to work. And when you rely on government to solve all the problems, that's when you're going to get stifled innovation. If government were designing phone chargers, we'd be using USB chargers from 10 years ago. We would never, ever try to innovate. And so the truth is we need to actually get out of the way and let the marketplace innovate. There are many, many people who have a vested interest in providing the best products and the new products that are going to provide our green future. And what we need to do is get out of the way of that. Quit over-regulating green technology, get out of the way, and we can fight climate change, but that doesn't require massive government action. It doesn't require carbon caps and all new government programs. It just requires us to buckle down, have that American innovation that we are known for, and we are going to develop the technologies that will power us into the future, not using carbon-based fuels. In the meantime, government doesn't really have a role in deciding what technology is going to be developing in the next few years.
Senator Warnock, I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
That's because we have a capitalism problem. I mean, I understand, right? You have right. BS. Yeah, exactly, Sherry. Thank you. That's because, I mean, I don't know. Like, I understand the innovation of people, but then isn't it like when people come up with really good technologies like free energy or some kind of free anything, like the government comes and takes it away too? So I could see like the government needs to back away from people trying to give the something for the betterment of the people, but then like the government should be regulating as well, especially with the kind of things that we're using now, like, the fossil fuel industry and all of that stuff. That we definitely don't need to be, the privatization has definitely made so much of a profit off of that. Actually, it's really bad. I think nationalizing some kind of new invention would definitely benefit society more than just letting a private market kind of take over the next sort of energy wave revolution that's coming. Because if we think about it, like how the fossil fuel industry is making so much money right now, in the next 100 years, it could just be the next solar energy company or the wind energy company that's literally taking advantage of people and their money instead of nationalizing it and giving it out as a free public utility. I think that that's how we should be, at least equally balancing itself out instead of fully privatizing everything. I think that when you fully privatize everything and the government doesn't involve, these private companies are allowed to just flourish and do whatever and come up with whatever they want. And that's where we have monopoly problems. That's where we have price gouging. That's where the government needs to come in, is stopping that kind of thing and making, we need electricity to live daily lives. We need heat to be able to survive. We need water. Those things should be utilities that are just given to us as a public thing. So that's where I feel on that. Yeah, definitely felt like a salesman on that. Mr. Sexy Loki went from a 10 to a 9 again. So we'll see if he brings it back up, but he's at a 9 right now for sure. That's it. Less bones becomes Libones from now on, but that doesn't sound right. Exactly. Regulations equals safety measures. Exactly. Incentivize invention and innovation. Most basic research is funded by the government. The private sector got us into this situation. Exactly. Incentivize invention and innovation. Yeah, exactly. You want to give subsidies to these fucking big old people that are already making a ton of money by ruining the environment and ruining people's lives. Start hooking up subsidies to like some kid in like Alabama who's figured out how to fucking make free electricity in his backyard. And that would be fucking great. Yeah, exactly. We talk. Sorry, Teresa. We talk issues when it is obvious that they are as powerless as we are until we organize across all 50 states and issues. Elections aren't the answer at this point. I mean, yeah, exactly. I completely agree. I think that if we can empower all forms of everything, that there is a way, that we can all come together and make things work. There's direct action. There's mutual aid. There's also, some voting. Teach motherfuckers how to lobby. Like, we could really do some, if we could get some people to go into like the Capitol and start lobbying for progressives, that would be really great too. Bug the shit out of them. You think that these corporate owners don't pay these lobbyists to be in fucking politicians' office every fucking day? Let's all, we got to train people to do lobbying. Maybe we could get some volunteers out, that live in DC that can lobby. If I was in DC, I'd be lobbying like a motherfucker. Like, I'd be all up in those politicians' office every day. Like, why aren't you doing this for the people? But I live too far away. So
I'm very focused on this issue. In the church, we call it creation care. We ought to be kind to the earth. It's the only place that we have, and we have to make sure that we have a planet to leave for our children. And it's the reason why I've been focused on this issue. I'm glad that we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which represents record investment in green energy, in a green energy future. In addition to that, I've been very involved leading the way with the creation of electric vehicle infrastructure right here in the state of Georgia. One of the first things I did when I became a senator was I worked very hard to keep this company open, LG, in Georgia, because it was involved in a trade dispute. I wanted to make sure that we kept that infrastructure here where they make batteries for cars. I'm glad that I've worked with the Kia and Hyundai folks here in Georgia, and down in Bryan County, we're getting ready to open up a company that will hire 9,000 people, and they will be creating electric vehicles there. I've also led the way with creating the sustainable aviation fuel. There's so many things that we need to do, and I'm very focused on that work.
Did you have a follow-up?
I did have a follow-up for Mr. Oliver. So it seems like you're primarily interested in market-driven forces. Can you name an example of an innovation that brought down carbon emissions that had no government incentive tied to it?
Well, I think it's very hard to get that because of the big government, world we live in. Every major company is trying to reach out for every subsidy and giveaway they can. But the truth is we need to bring market competition back to it. We don't just need to be having a scramble for who can get the next federal dollars. We need to have people who are innovating the next technologies. Now, what technologies do we have? I imagine Tesla, Elon Musk would have developed a car with or without subsidies. Now, he'll take the subsidies because anybody will take free money, but it's your money. It's your taxpayer money that's going in Elon Musk's pocket. He's a billionaire. He can afford to develop his own electric vehicles without taking taxpayer money for it and upping our debt and making our debt crisis even worse. We don't need to be printing.
What is he talking about? Oh, he's lowering to an 8 right now. Sexy Loki is going from sexy Loki to mid Loki. Oh no. You can't solve problems by putting the very people who cause the problems unless you impose some kind of band-aid. Exactly.
Money out of thin air to give money to green billionaires to develop new technology. They'll do that on their own.
Stanley Dunlap, the next
But
question to you.
the whole thing is like, but Elon Musk created Tesla and named it off of the guy who actually invented the electricity, wireless electricity. So he didn't invent this himself, and he wouldn't do this without the money, without the government subsidies. Elon Musk would have never done any of this. I mean, we just proved this yesterday with the whole Starlink thing in Ukraine. Like, he's not willing to put in his own money to invest. He wants the government to start doing it. So, and if we took the government money away, these guys wouldn't be sitting here making the kind of stuff and these inventions. And it's not like they're making the best things for the best reasons anyway. These inventions that these guys are making are only profiting themselves. And if we took the government away from all of that for the regulations and safety of the people, then they would just be like unfettered, just wild chaos doing whatever the fuck they want. So if anything, he's just not making any sense when it comes to, at least he's got that like closed-minded, like the super capitalist privatization mentality, which is gross.
This is for Mr. Oliver. You mentioned that you'd be happy for a runoff because that would show that there's dissatisfaction with both of the Republican and Democrat candidates. With the two other, if that happened with the two other candidates, would you then support one or the other during the lead up to the runoff? And if so, why?
So it's not my job to endorse one or the other of the candidates, considering I don't support the two-party structure. I support voting outside of the two-party system. But what I am going to do is, if there is a runoff and I'm not in it, I will allow the other two candidates a chance to attend a forum. I'll moderate it, and we can talk.
Exactly, Sherry. Yeah, so GE hasn't had an electric car years ago. Right, and that's the thing. It's like the government's not going to allow anybody to come up with an invention unless there's a way that they can profit off of it. And even the government thinks this way as well. So, like, they're not going to invest into this, this kid's invention unless they know that there's going to be this huge amount of profit for not only the people in Congress and Senate that are going to benefit off of changing the laws to make this a possibility. And then they've got to make the profit incentive. Like just like he can't even explain, like there's nobody that he can think of, no company that's done this without the help of the government, because most people that try to do this on their own end up getting shut down by people a lot and totally rejected until somebody comes up with it in the way that, the private corporations and the governments approve of this. So, the backroom discussions and shit.
About the issues that I think are important to libertarian and independent voters. Now, I don't know if Herschel will show up to that forum, and I don't know if Senator Warnock would either, but I'm going to provide them the opportunity to speak to those voters who feel dissatisfied with the two-party system and give them a chance to put their support behind either candidate in the runoff. But again, it's not my job to make your decision for you who you should support in any kind of theoretical runoff. And really the best case support, or the best case scenario runoff, would be one where we have one candidate who is not part of the broken two-party system. And you have that ability to do that, Georgia. You can vote outside of the system and make a runoff that's historic and make a runoff that is actually worthy of the voters instead of this broken two-party system that we continue to see over and over again.
Mr. Oliver mentioned you, Senator Warnock. You have 30 seconds to respond if you'd like.
Early voting begins tomorrow. And at the end of the day, either Herschel Walker will sit in the seat or I will sit in the seat. One of the things I've learned from being a pastor is that in order to serve the people, you have to spend time with the people. And I guess the reason why I've been so focused on issues like Medicaid expansion is I've spent so much time at people's bedsides. And I'm focused on the insulin issue because I've been there when diabetes has gotten out of control. I'm a pastor in the Senate. I'm deeply honored to serve the people of Georgia, and I'd be deeply honored to serve you for 6 more years.
That's our time. Emma Hurt, your turn to ask a question, please.
Senator Warnock, you earlier just tonight and your campaign have attacked Herschel Walker for his past domestic violence allegations by his ex-wife and by other women, some of which he has denied, some of which he hasn't. His campaign has attacked you as well for your ex-wife's allegation that you ran over her foot with a car, which you've denied, as well as for your child custody battle. Our campaign's getting too personal.
Oh my God, the pettiness right now. I cannot handle the pettiness. oh God. Okay.
What'd you do about it?
I gotta pee.
Well, first of all, let me be very clear. I have never been violent to anybody for any reason. And I have spent my entire life as a citizen, as a pastor of Dr. King's Church, steeped in the philosophy of nonviolence, as a senator, fighting against nonviolence. My opponent, on the other hand, has a well-documented history of violence, and he hasn't come clean about it. He's blaming me for his own history, saying I don't believe in redemption. I believe in redemption. I preach about it. But it's hard to be redeemed if you're not willing to come clean about the basic facts of your life. And at the end of the day, again, this race is not about who's been redeemed. It's about who's ready. And I think Mr. Walker has shown time and time again that he's not ready to represent the people of Georgia.
Thank you. I have a question for the both of you, beginning with Mr. Oliver. You said one of your highest priorities is penal reform in America. What would that look like?
Well, I believe that we need true justice reform at every level. And that is not just in the jails. That is from the police to the courts to the prosecutors. But yes, we need reform in our prisons. I've heard so many stories about people who feel like they have been abused. And what we're doing right now is we incarcerate people many times for basic drug possession. And they go in, they don't get any care for their addiction. And then what they do is they get out, they're re-traumatized, and they go right back to the behaviors that harmed them in the first place. We need real harm reduction, and we need real work in our prisons to reduce recidivism. But beyond that, we need to fix other facets of our justice system. We need to do away with mandatory minimums, which take control out of the hand of judges and just create arbitrary prison terms for people that ruin their lives. We need to do away with qualified immunity for federal law enforcement so that law enforcement can be held accountable in a court of law just like any of us. And I think at every level, we need real justice reform. That includes ending the death penalty. I'm opposed to capital punishment because too often we put people to death who were later found to have been innocent. So yeah, we need real reforms to our prison, our justice system.
All right, sexy Loki went from an 8 back to a 9 with that one. That's what I'm on. I agree with him on that for sure. Definitely need reform in our prison system. Main big one, take the for-profit motive out of prison systems. It needs to be nonprofit, government owned, full on. Like, I know he's not going to go with me on that because he's obviously a libertarian, but there cannot be a profit motive for the imprisonment of human life, because that was literally people get, there's slave wages in there. It's slave work. You're working there and doing things for companies to profit off of that you're making for barely any money, and they're making huge ass profits. Like, there was like a prison system that we just watched recently. I think it's Rikers Island over there, where they're creating and making things for that prison itself, to like the necessities of things in prison, whether it's like clothes, desks, chairs, like for the office parts of the prison. And these prisoners are making this stuff, and then this prison is selling those products to other prisons for like way overpriced, like military prices. Like you ever go into the military, you hear like a screwdriver costs like $10,000, the toilet's like 20,000 or 50,000. And this is pretty much what they're doing in the prison systems as well. They're like reselling a chair for like $500, and it's just like one of those cheap like IKEA spinny desk chairs. It's wild to me how they're doing with the profit motive. That should be definitely a big reform in the prison system. And then obviously, the mental health, and stop turning prison systems into revolving doors. Once people go in, it's really hard to get out. There should be something in the prison systems to help them get better, and definitely ending the death penalty, because capital punishment is just absolutely ridiculous, especially with the percentage. Even having a 1% chance of people, some innocent people being put to death is ridiculous. I mean, I just even recently heard, like, I think it was the Parkland shooter just got their sentence, and he got sentenced to life. And the people there, like the victims of the families, were saying that it was unfair and that there should be corporal punishment or capital punishment, and that this guy should be put to death. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I understand your pain, but holy shit, like, there's still people out there that's really for the death penalty. That's wild to me.
Every step of the way. And that's something that I fought for. I've gotten tear gas in the streets and seen the National Guard rolling down the road while I protest for justice reform.
Senator Warnock, same question to you, please. Penal reform in America. Some thoughts on that?
It's something I've worked on for years, long before coming to the Senate.
See, there he goes again. It's something I've done for years. I do this. It's all that I've already done. But where has this proven? Like, you cannot prove this. You can't prove it.
So America is about 4 or 5% of the world's population. We warehouse 25% of the world's prisoners. Many of them are there for nonviolent drug-related offenses. I was glad to see some movement on this front in the space around cannabis. And I think we need some necessary reform. We're warehousing a lot of folks for nonviolent drug-related offenses. It's something I've seen up close. I've used the ministry of my church to address it. And now that I'm in the Senate, I'm focused on bringing the kind of reform that we need. And part of it is opportunity. Look, I grew up in public housing. And I think that part of the answer to a lot of these things is hope. You got to give people hope. You got to help people.
What? No. You need to give people reform and justice. That's what you need to do. People have fucking hope. That's why people are still alive to this day. That's why, you know, mass unaliving isn't like super popular, is because people still have fucking hope. You don't need to give them hope. Hope is nothing. You cannot see hope in your hands when you're fucking struggling. This guy is an idiot, especially when you're struggling to stay out of the prison system and trying to get fucking help. This guy's an idiot.
At least have the ladders to create their own best life. I know what that did for me, and I try to extend that opportunity to other people.
Thank you both. Peter Biello, next question to you, please.
Sure. Senator Warnock, President Biden's popularity in Georgia is underwater. Inflation is still rising. Why should voters trust Democrats when it comes to the handling of the economy?
Well, I'm asking the people of Georgia to trust me. Look, I didn't look to get into politics. And it's because I'm not in love with politics. I'm in love with change. I've spent the last 17 years serving as senior pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church. And I return to my church every Sunday so that I stay connected.
I again.
And it is seeing the pain there. Folks who are paying record prices while corporations are enjoying record profits. That's what drives me to go back to the Senate every week to try to get things done for hardworking people. So we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. And I got more that I'd like to see us get done. I would have gotten an insulin cap.
So
for folks
this
who have
guy
Providence.
pretty much just admitted that he spent the last 2 years in office wanting change, but doesn't know how to do it. That's pretty much what it is. He don't know how to do the change. If you're going to sit there for 17 years in a church and expect that you actually make change, nah, you haven't done shit. You obviously don't know shit about politics.
Insurance. If I weren't blocked by craven politicians who think they work for pharmaceutical companies. Well, I don't work for Big Pharma. I don't work for big oil and gas. And I don't work for some party. I work for the people of Georgia.
Stanley Dunlap, next question to you, please.
Do not make me go and look up his income and how much he's worth online. Please don't, Mr. Warnock. Please don't. Yeah, exactly. This is a Loki Stan channel. He's back up to a 9, so we're getting up to the standing again for sure.
We could see kind of the balance of power potentially change in this election. If that happens, and it's already a pretty tense and contentious between the Republican and Democrat lawmakers, what if there is even more of a further divide? Realistically, how much can get accomplished over the next 4 years as we see kind of things could continue to get worse, at least between the two parties, maybe not working together or something? And that's for both candidates.
Listen, the problem with our politics right now is that it's too much about the politicians. They're thinking more about themselves and they're thinking about the people who hired them to show up for them in the first place. I think I've demonstrated that I know how to work across the aisle, that mine is an extended hand. I did an amendment with Ted Cruz. I disagree with him on almost everything. But when I saw an opportunity to build out an interstate that would connect our military bases and revitalize communities in this state that are suffering, I joined with him to do that. And I think that in a deeper sense, there is a road that runs through our humanity that is bigger than politics, bigger than partisan bickering, bigger than racism, and bigger than the regional differences that would separate us. I still believe in the American covenant. I'm not about to give up on it. E pluribus unum, out of many one. And I'm going to keep fighting for it. If Martin Luther King Jr. didn't give up, and John Lewis, who was my parishioner, didn't give up, Who am I to give up?
That's our time. Mr. Oliver, the question to you, please.
So, you mentioned bipartisanship, and you also talked about, can we trust Democrats with the spending and the Inflation Reduction Act? The truth is we can't really trust the Democrats or the Republicans who are currently in leadership right now to do that, because my entire adult life, they've been deficit spending like it's going out of style. The last time we had a balanced budget was in the 1990s. That was also the last time we had a real explosion of the middle class and broad prosperity growth in this country. Those two things are not unrelated.
We had prosperity and growth, and then we try to balance the budget, and then we got a recession. Balancing the budget isn't doing anything good. You're not balancing the budget, or not getting rid of this debt clock in the right way, though. That's where the libertarian that don't understand how the economy works kind of like collides right there. Because if you're going to want to balance the budget, all you're doing is taking away hey, stop. All you're doing is taking away the money from the regular people, because the government's never going to tax the ultra rich. They're always going to be able to get tax cuts, tax breaks, whatever, because the government makes us think that they invest in the community, and they don't. So they're never, and plus all the things that these rich people have are all assets, which are completely untaxable. They figured out a loophole to make it look like they don't actually personally make very much money. Everything is in assets, non-taxable items that they can't get charged for. So most libertarians fail the MMT test for sure. I could understand if they wanted to balance the budget by taxing the shit out of rich people, but like I was saying, they're never going to do that. They're always going to tax us regular people, which is just going to cause even more of a recession than we're already like pretty much heading into right now with the inflation problems as it is. So all you're doing is asking us to take away more than what we already have given away as it is. And we can't keep doing that. So unless you can tie balancing the budget with taxing the shit out of the rich people only, there's never going to be a safe way for America to balance the budget without bringing austerity to the people. And when they say when the government and the president and stuff says we need to bring austerity to help our future generations, it's a fucking flat out goddamn lie. There's no truth in any of this stuff. So yes, unfortunately, Loki does fail the MMT test, but I didn't expect anything different from him with that whole situation, because he is a libertarian. But it's all we can do is just sit here and remind everybody that we know that doesn't understand how modern monetary theory is and how our government and our tax system actually works. We just got to keep repeating ourselves. And yeah, exactly. We used to tax the shit out of the rich, yeah, exactly. We used to tax the rich, but we have spent the last 50 years worshiping them, and time to stop that. So yeah, like when FDR came out with the New Deal, we were taxing rich people like above 50%, I believe. And so that's when, we had like, like really good times or whatever. Was it FDR? I can't remember, something I think it was the 1950s, not FDR time. Stop, you two. My cats are fighting. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. That they were taxed at a really, really high rate. And so the people were doing really well because everybody was at, pretty much of an equal balance. Everybody was doing really, really like the middle. There was the creation of the middle class back then too. So everybody was doing well, even though the companies and rich people were making a lot of money, they weren't making a ton of money. And I think just within the last 50 years, they figured out the loopholes and way to change the laws and way to buy politicians to get them to do what they want, offer them more money so that way they can make more money themselves. It's just, and then the regular people have just been living their lives thinking, oh, this is the great life now, everything's wonderful and golden and nothing's ever going to change, not really realizing like we're the crab in the boiling pot. Like they didn't just stick us in this boiling pot, they put it in with cold water, having us think that everything's okay, and have just been slowly turning up that fucking the fire and making us not realize that we're about to boil ourselves to death. So Okay, so it's J. Okay, yeah, it was in the 50s. It was high as 90. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. It was like as high as 90%, but I didn't want to go that high and like over exaggerate what I was thinking, so I just kept it above 50%. But yeah, about 50 years ago, or in the 50s. So that yeah, not FDR. JFK lowered it to 70%. Satan loved JFK. Jesus Christ. Of course he did. And so many people love JFK too. But you find out like a lot of these presidents that you think are really good do have some bad stuff about them too. Nobody's 100% great.
This is the only thing Democrats and Republicans can agree on is how to spend your money out of thin air and devalue our dollar. He has said several times that I passed the inflation reduction.
Well,
It doesn't
the only reason why our dollar would be devalued is if we just kept printing more and more money. I think our dollar is the highest right now. So I don't understand what he means. I mean, I understand like inflation and the value of the dollar has gone down, but that's just because the cost of living has gone up, but then people's wages hasn't gone up to match the cost of living and the inflation that's happened. So that's where it's like he like gets there and then he just does like a hard right turn. You know, it's like you're almost fucking there. If you would have just taken 2 more steps forward, you could have been there, but you did a hard right. What the fuck? Yeah, it stayed there until Reagan. Here, let me show this. It stayed there until Reagan, and then I think it went down to 35%. Yeah, it's just been slowly getting lower and lower. The more you find out that these politicians are pretty much paid off and bought by these corporations because they probably didn't like being taxed that much. Which just goes to show you that these corporations don't care about anything except for benefiting themselves and enriching themselves and don't care about the rest of society.
Reduce inflation. That's not what the bill does. I want to reduce inflation because the cost of groceries, the cost of rent are going up every single month, and people are feeling it. It's a real thing. You know, I go to work every day, and I have to make my balance. I have to balance my budget. Every Georgia household has to balance their budget. Why can't we insist upon a government that balances its budget? Why is that
But the government isn't like your household, though. If you listen to any MMT economist, that's the first thing they'll tell you is the government is not like your home. You do not need to balance the budget. If you were legally able to have a money printing machine in your house and it was minted by the American government and you were allowed to use it as legal currency, then your household would be like a government. But it's not. You have to work to make that money. And then what you have from that amount of hours that you have worked are able to pay off the things that you need to pay off. The government literally creates it out of thin air and says these organizations, these programs need this much money. October 1st, everybody just pay attention to October 1st. It's when we do the fiscal spending year every year. If we start there, they're saying, okay, this, and this needs money. And then after they have passed it, they're like, all right, this is how much we're giving out for the year of 2023. Okay. They didn't need to collect taxes or anything to do that. They just created the money. Like our household, like the government didn't have to go to work and make that money or tax the people to make that money to have that money to pay off those things that it needs to pay off. It literally just says, okay, we passed the bill or we passed the law. Here's what we're going to give to these organizations. See that debt clock that's out in New York? We're just going to add on to it. That's all you're doing. So this is how much more money is out into the debts. So we're allowing these government corporations to print money freely for these programs that we don't even approve of or vote for or accept or anything like that. Just the government gets to do it. And then they'll tax us all later because they need to bring down the debt clock. And then they use the whole, we need to balance our budget. Like then tax, like I was saying earlier, then tax the shit out of the rich people. So that way that debt clock goes down. That's it. That's the only way to bring up, the balancing of the budget is to tax the shit out of the rich. Leave us the fuck alone and then tax them. And that debt clock will go down. now we're not going to have any more money in being able to be used in the economy, and that money that we're using to tax, the rich people is just going to go to nothing. It's going to be disappeared. It's going to be gone forever. We're never going to see that money. They're not holding it safe for us for something else different. So that's where another part of it needs to come in, is like, we need to be able to, as the citizens in America, we need to be able to control what the government is allowing to be paid for, and to be, giving subsidies to and shit. So sorry, I went off on a little rant there. Oh, it's okay. It's all right, Teresa. You're good. You're good. What are they calling green technology? Bill Gates calls it eating fermented foods, canned meats, and eating bugs for the masses, of course, right? While he buys up ag farmland and the oligarchs eat beef. Exactly. Exactly. Jimmy Dore had an interesting Republican candidate on that won his primary and then denounced the Republican Party, and the GOP defunded him. Ooh, anti-war, talking about something he called liquid democracy. Interesting. Interesting. Liquid democracy, huh? Is that like liquidating things? I'm going to have to look that up too today. God damn, you guys. You guys are good with this stuff. You guys are like on it. All right, I'm typing it into my notes. Liquid democracy. All right, I got it. All right, let's continue watching this.
Idea, not the rational idea. Why can't we get back to a rational idea that Democrats and Republicans agreed on 20 years ago? Balance the budget so we have more prosperity and a growing middle class. That's what we need, not more spending.
Senator Warnock, 30 seconds to you to respond if you'd like it.
Well, as I'm looking at these rising costs, part of what I've tried to do is to hold big pharmaceutical companies accountable, ocean carriers accountable, and I've tried to deal with these issues in our supply chain. I'm proud of the fact that we passed on a bipartisan basis the Jobs and Competition Bill. As you look at the rising costs of your automobiles, part of that is because of microchips. We invented the microchip. We used to make 40% of them. Now we make only 12%. And so here we are with a company in West Point, Georgia, shutting down, not because it didn't have enough customers, but because it didn't have enough chips.
That's our time. Mr. Oliver, would you like a response to that? I'll give you another 30 seconds.
Yeah, let's talk about the supply chain. Let's talk about drug prices. A price cap, which is what you offered for insulin, that is not going to solve the problem. That's just going to lead to market shortages like all price caps eventually do. The way to make insulin less expensive is get rid of patent evergreening that makes it expensive in the first place. Allow customers to buy from outside of the country where insulin is less.
That's really true. Get rid of patents for sure, because that's literally what makes these fucking corporations so much goddamn money. Like, patents was one of the big problems during the fucking COVID thing. Like, patents are the worst.
Expensive, pushing the price down using market forces. And at the end of the day, we need to make it easier to develop new medicines and new technologies by reforming the FDA and doing away with a massive amount of red tape that increases the cost of these drugs. We can lower the cost of insulin without arbitrary price caps, which will lead to shortages.
Thank you. We'll need to move on. Emma Hurt, next question to you, please.
This question is for Mr. Oliver. You are running as Georgia's first openly gay Senate candidate. What protections for the LGBTQ community do you think Congress needs to take up?
Well, I've said in the past that I support the Equality Act, but at the end of the day, what we need to be doing is stop demonizing LGBTQ people. I hear all day long from folks like Herschel Walker and about how terrible LGBTQ people are, about how they're destroying our children. Well, the fact is I was a gay child one time, and I was thankful that I had supportive teachers and supportive people in my life that could help me as I was growing up. And I don't want to do away with that. But the reality is we have far too many people looking to demonize LGBTQ people, and I am not one who's going to stand for that. Of course, I support the Equality Act, but the best way for me to be a good representative as an LGBTQ person is to get up, do the work, and be like just everybody else, because that's what LGBTQ people are. We just love different people. There's nothing inherently wrong with us, and I think there's something we can be proud of. I was proud to be marching the Pride Parade as the first ever LGBTQ statewide candidate. I was a few cars behind you, sir, but I enjoyed the Pride Parade altogether. And I think the two people on this stage will absolutely stand for LGBTQ people, but I want people to know that you have somebody you can support who knows what it's like to grow up LGBTQ and who knows what it's like to find that support in people in their lives. And we need to be supporting that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agreed with him on the LGBTQ plus issue. He lied about the insulin part. There's no patents. It's off patents. Okay. Good to know. Very good to know. Thank you, Sherry. Like I say, I don't know everything. That's why I'm glad I have people like you and Teresa and stuff in the audience as well to help help me with a lot of this stuff, because I knew that it was going to be testing my skill set, and I can get up to a certain point and I'll start ranting and getting off subject and stuff. So yeah, I don't know the nitpicks. Sherry is a microeconomist, so she's into the nitty gritty of things. Macroeconomists usually look at the bigger picture and try to solve the issue in the bigger picture. Microeconomists is kind of like Sherry, where they take that bigger picture and find out all the different questions that need to be answered, so that way the bigger picture can be answered. Because usually, so a lot of the times, you can look at the bigger picture and answer things, but then when it comes to individual issues, you can't do that with the bigger picture. So thank you, Sherry, for nitpicking for me. I absolutely appreciate what you have to say.
This question goes to both of you. I'll start with you, Senator Warnock. COVID-19 is still with us, and as monkeypox has shown us, new viruses can pop up at any time. If you are elected to a full term, what would you do in your next term to make sure that we as a country are prepared for the next pandemic?
Sure. Look, part of what we need to do.
We don't care about it. We're not even doing anything to help with anything. Like he brings up the monkeypox. Isn't like Haiti dealing with like the recurrence of some kind of virus that went away? And it was because they had a hurricane and the UN came in and tried to like give mutual aid to Haiti, and now like some old disease has come back up, and now America, like the UN and stuff, isn't even helping them with that. If anything, like they're stopping ports and stuff from being able to give them things, stopping roads, and now they just recently brought the military in there because the people are fucking done. Like the people of Haiti are like fighting back and protesting and stuff, and it's getting really violent because they're sick of it and they're wanting their leader to step down, and the fucking leader called in troops, and so now we've got American troops over there while they're dealing with their own austerity, but they got virus from the UN coming and helping them. So
is make sure we shore up and strengthen the healthcare system for all times. We've seen in this state 10 hospitals close in 10 years. And then a couple of weeks ago, we got the terrible news that the Atlanta Medical Center is going to close. I have remained focused on trying to strengthen our healthcare system in general, because in the work we do around vaccines, all of that depends on our ability to deal with these kinds of chronic diseases and health in general. Georgia needs to expand Medicaid, and that is a state issue, and it's got to be addressed at that level. But I've done everything I can at the federal level, and I'll keep doing more to further incentivize our state to expand Medicaid. We've got 600,000 people in the coverage gap. Most of them are the working poor. And when a pandemic comes on top of that, people already not getting basic health care, it makes it that much worse, which is why I'm going to keep fighting for health care.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver, the question to you.
Sorry?
60 seconds.
Oh, so yeah, I have struggled during the pandemic, and the thing that we need to do is, one of the things that was the biggest crisis of the pandemic was the fact that we closed down businesses and schools. Those are the unseen victims of the pandemic. We can see people who get sick from COVID-19 and die, but what we don't know is how many businesses have closed and are never going to open again. How many kids lost months and months of vital time to be educated. We need to have a different approach to our pandemic than just saying, we're just going to shut everything down and that's what we're going to do. And that's what happened in this pandemic from the very beginning. I am not somebody who thinks we need to arbitrarily lock down the state. I think we can, you can go to your doctor, take your doctor's advice. That's the most important thing. Don't take politicians' advice for your healthcare. Take your doctor's advice for your healthcare. Those are the people who are going to have the real educated answers for you and who are interested in actually providing you healthcare, and not just talking points that are going to make you feel good or that don't really make a lot of sense. I go to my doctor for my healthcare.
We've got about 4 minutes left in this round, and something to add, Senator Warnock.
I just want to quickly say that I wrote the Medicaid Saves Lives Act. Time and time again, I've tried to strengthen our healthcare system. Herschel Walker doesn't believe we should expand Medicaid. And he should explain to the 600,000 Georgians who are in the Medicaid gap, most of whom are the working poor. These are hardworking families. He said the other night that well-bodied people already have health care. And yet he says he's ready to be a senator. Why does he not know that the folks who are in the gap, a lot of them work every single day? He should tell them that.
That's not. And Mr. Oliver, a final word from you on expansion of Medicaid in the state of Georgia. I'd like your position on that. 30 seconds, please.
Well, I'm against expansion of Medicaid in the state because I think the further government gets entrenched in the healthcare marketplace, the faster you're going to see costs rising faster than the rate of inflation. Education and healthcare are the two areas where government involves itself the most and where prices rise faster than inflation the most. So what we need to be doing is
but the reason why prices are inflating is because privatized corporations own the patents to pharmaceuticals. So doctors can't even give their clients any kind of medicines without the approval of the insurance company, and then the insurance company tax on how much more they're supposed to owe because the corporation that owns the patent to that pharmaceutical brand or whatever has puts a price on it, and they're allowed to control the prices of that. So, man, Mr. Loki, you started as a 10 and you're like ending up at a 7. We're supposed to be a Loki Stan account, and you are slowly going down.
Forces for healthcare to lower the costs. Now, you can have the Medicare program, but expanding it and spending more and more money is going to throw good money after bad eventually. Single-payer healthcare programs do not work the best. And you can look at that just by cancer survival rates in our allies that do have single-payer healthcare. It's a lot lower than what we have here in the U.S.
Thank you. Stan, we've done that. Next question to you, please.
And this is for both. First, with the Senator Warnock, you're 2 years in as a senator. Sure, sometimes it's maybe felt longer than that with everything that's been going on. But what would you give today's, as yourself, advice would you give Senator Warnock, who was entering office 2 years ago? And also for Mr. Oliver, you'd be a third-party candidate and new to Congress if elected. How would you kind of ingratiate yourself in there and hopefully get some things accomplished and develop relationships?
All right, now they're getting to the boring parts, the last parts of here. What are you going to do if you become blah blah blah, all of that crap. So sad that Loki ended up at a 7. Sad. I mean, it's still smash. I wouldn't pass. I'd still smash. Just gotta like what guys tell women, just keep your mouth closed. I'm done for the day. As my friends and stuff would say, it's not Jimmy here today. You're talking to Scarlett. Okay. Well, we got about 45 minutes left, so we can do some scary stuff. I've got 2 scary stories. Not really scary, but we got a story about one of the real heroes in the Jeffrey Dahmer story, who is the man that murdered Jeffrey Dahmer, or we can find out the terrifying secrets of Yosemite Park. Woo! Probably do the Jeffrey Dahmer one because I'm pretty sure nobody really cares about Yosemite National Park and what's happening there. And Jeffrey Dahmer's story is definitely one of the big talks of things right now. So I decided that I wanted to look into one of the real history or real heroes of Jeffrey Dahmer's story, and that would be ooh, what's this? Look at that. Stephen Hale posted up recently. The MMT argument is that inflation constrains fiscal policy, and that is what happened. Under current institutional arrangements, the central bank reaction function is to hike rates as inflation rises. And now he goes on to the trust government. Okay. Sorry, I saw Stephen Hale. I'm like, oh God, is he watching? He's gonna be so mad at me. Okay. So like I was saying, okay, so let me start over again because this will just make it easier to clip. So a lot of people are talking about the Jeffrey Dahmer case. I decided that I wanted to talk about one of the real heroes in the Jeffrey Dahmer case, at least in one of my eyes. Definitely the woman that was trying to help the boy get out of Jeffrey Dahmer's house is definitely one of the heroes as well. But this is the man that murdered Jeffrey Dahmer, and a little bit of story about him, which I'm going to, I guess we'll just watch a little bit about the Jeffrey Dahmer story and what happened to him. And then in the video, about halfway, it'll talk about what the guy that murdered him and what his story is about. So this should be very interesting. All right, let's watch.
From our investigation, we strongly feel this individual has been involved in other homicides. We have taken evidence out of the building to be examined.
Why Jeffrey Dahmer's inmate killed him. The dust had settled in one of the most gut-wrenching cases in America. That was the moment the infamous Milwaukee cannibal Jeffrey Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, February of 1992. He was locked up in the Columbia Correctional Institute. The victims and their families could at least take some form of respite, knowing that he'd suffer for long. Or so they thought. Just over 2 years into his sentence, on the morning of the 28th of November 1998, Dahmer and 2 other inmates walked into the toilet block for cleaning duties. Dahmer and one of the other inmates never walked out. What had just happened here, and who was the third inmate, who walked out undetected by the guards? Backstory. To have been convicted of 15 counts of first-degree murder and receive a sentence of over 900 years in prison, can only imagine the things Jeffrey Dahmer must have done. If there's one thing we can be sure of sometimes when the law is involved, it's that the consequence is usually commensurate with the crime, and you'll find that in Jeffrey's case as well. Dahmer committed his first murder when he was 18. He had been driving when 19-year-old Stephen Hicks, who was heading to a rock concert at Chippewa Lake Park, Ohio, decided to hitchhike with him. As they drove, Jeffrey brought up the idea of Stephen going with him to his house to have a few drinks. After drinking, Stephen told Jeffrey that he wanted to leave, but Jeffrey didn't want him to. It turned out that Jeffrey was hoping he would act on his feelings for Stephen. Seeing as he couldn't stop Stephen from leaving, Jeffrey used a 10-pound dumbbell to strike Stephen twice on the back of the head. As soon as Stephen passed out, Jeffrey used the bar of the dumbbell to strangle him. The next day, Jeffrey dismembered Stephen's corpse and buried the parts of his body in his backyard. But because he didn't want to leave the evidence behind, he dug up Stephen's body weeks after, peeled the flesh off the bones, and dissolved it in acid. He then flushed the output down the toilet before crushing the bones with a sledgehammer and spreading them around his backyard like mulch. After Jeffrey killed Stephen, he went on to kill his next 4 victims: 25-year-old Stephen Tuomi, 14-year-old James Doxtator, 22-year-old Richard Guerrero, and 24-year-old Anthony Sears. This was between 1987 and 1988. In the years of 1989 and 1991, Jeffrey met and murdered his remaining 12 victims, and his last victim was 25-year-old Joseph Brederhoft.
Such a sick man. Jeffrey Dahmer was very, very sick man. Disgusting, gross, nobody to be praised. Should study his brain, and that's about it.
His MO for all of his victims were in this order: strangulation, dismemberment, and decapitation. But as they say, everything comes to an end. In Jeffrey's case, he just wasn't expecting it. His arrest and trial. To get rid of the dead bodies in his apartment, Jeffrey bought a large tank, filled it with acid, and threw the torsos of his victims into it. He also cooked the dismembered body parts and constantly ate them, hence the alias Milwaukee Cannibal. A few years into Jeffrey's crime spree,
Which would cause like a type of oh, what is it? The mad cow disease, definitely like a type of that. So obviously wasn't right in the head for sure. You don't eat humans. It's disgusting. It's horrific. It changes your mind and how you think, because you should not be eating this hate. Leave mom alone. God, he is so bugging. I cannot wait for him to get fixed. Yeah, it's gross. It's absolutely disgusting.
Named Tracy Edwards came dangerously close to becoming one of his many victims, save for the fact that he followed his instincts. Tracy and Jeffrey met in July of 1991, and as usual, Jeffrey convinced Tracy to follow him to his apartment. Tracy said that when he got there, he sensed that something was off. He was fortunate enough to get out of the apartment and run for dear life. While running down the street, he stopped a police car and told the police officer how he felt something wasn't right about Jeffrey. This incident marked the beginning of the end for the 31-year-old killer. The police officer Tracy spoke to called for backup, and together with other cops who responded to his call, he raided Jeffrey's apartment. To their sheer horror, the authorities found several pictures of dismembered body parts all over the apartment, about 4 or 5 decapitated heads in Jeffrey's freezer, and dismembered body parts in both pots and pans. They also found in the large tank the torsos Jeffrey had dissolved using acid. Jeffrey was immediately arrested and taken into police custody. His day of reckoning had come, but things would only get worse for him from then on. After 6 weeks of being in police custody, Dahmer finally confessed to his crimes via pages of writing. During his trial, he pled guilty by reason of insanity, but he was deemed legally sane at his trial. At the end of his largely publicized trial on February 17th, 1992, Jeffrey Dahmer was convicted of 15 murders and was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment. The presiding judge ruled that Jeffrey would live out his days in the Columbia Correctional Institution, Portage, Wisconsin. Life behind bars. The nature of Jeffrey's crimes placed him in people's bad books. As a result, he was placed in protective custody and held in isolation.
Right. Yeah, because if he goes to jail and gets put into regular custody, like, you know, the public area, stop. The public area of a prison, he would be murdered. So he PC'd himself up for a year. It's exactly, he's trying to keep himself alive because he'd get fucking murdered in there.
The same vein.
But he gets comfortable. Don't worry. He gets comfortable, and then the true hero comes.
He was never let out of his cell except when he was bound. After a year of being held in the isolation cell, Jeffrey appealed to prison officials to move him to a different unit, stating that he had been cooperative and never caused any trouble. His appeal was heard, and he was moved to a unit for inmates with emotional and mental challenges.
And that's where he made his own very first mistake. Karma comes to get back at you. You do it to yourself, people.
Jeffrey was able to relate with other inmates. He started attending classes and even signed up for work duties. Along the line, Dahmer met a prison minister, Roy Ratcliffe, whom he reportedly often shared remorseful remarks about the murders he had committed with. Around this time, Jeffrey also started going to chapel. In May of 1994, Jeffrey sought to be baptized, and he was baptized by Ratcliffe in a water tub in prison.
And right then and there, you know that he's going to go to heaven, even if somebody kills him and he dies in prison. To their religion, he's going to heaven. Can you believe that? Would you want to go to heaven with that? Would you? Really? Like, that's what you think heaven is great about, is having all of them there? Nah, I'm good on that.
After his baptism, he began to share with other inmates the correspondences he'd been getting concerning his newfound faith. According to several reports, it was during this time that Jeffrey began to display certain behaviors that other inmates didn't appreciate. He often made jokes about cannibalism, saying that he was going to bite them. Dahmer also had a
Which
knack
shows
for
that he obviously didn't want to change his ways. So even if he got released from prison, he wouldn't change. He would still do as much disgusting things as he wanted. And he obviously didn't repent.
Molding his food to look like dismembered body parts. As if that wasn't bad enough, he would proceed to cover the food with ketchup to complete the look. While some reports say he ate the food afterwards, others say Jeffrey left these rather disturbing pieces of food art lying around for the other inmates to find. Whatever the case, the inmates didn't like this sick game Dahmer was playing, but there was a particular inmate who took his dislike to the extreme, and this inmate was none other than Christopher Scarver. Christopher Scarver. Scarver was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, just like Jeffrey. After he dropped out of high school and got kicked out of the house by his mother, he joined a Youth Conservation Corps program, where he secured a position as a trainee carpenter. During the program, a supervisor reportedly told Scarver that he was sure to become a full-time employee as soon as he completed the program. However, that did not happen. So, on June 1st, 1990...
So he was offered a full-time job when he completed the program, and he never got that full-time job. They fucking lied to him. This guy was desperate. I'm pretty sure, and they'll explain it a little bit later, but he had a family, a woman, a girl that was pregnant, that he needed money. He needed a job. He needed stability for his family, and this fucking company lied to him.
Scarver made his way to the office of the training program, declaring that the program owed him money. One of the people he happened to meet that day was his former boss, Stephen Lohman. When he asked Stephen for his money, Scarver said that Stephen gave him $15. This reportedly provoked Scarver to the point that he shot Stephen in the head. After Scarver
Can you believe that they gave him $15 fucking for his work that he did? Like, yeah, he's a guy who's at his wit's end, who fucking couldn't just handle it anymore. He lost it. I mean, to me, this was a form of crime of passion. So
the first shot at Stephen, he went out of control and ended up shooting the wounded man 3 more times. Still armed with a murder weapon, Scarver demanded that the manager write him a check for $3,000. He then proceeded to steal the manager's credit card before heading to his pregnant girlfriend's apartment. The police found Scarver outside his girlfriend's apartment hours later, and since the murder weapon was still in his possession, the authorities had him arrested. By the time of Scarver's sentencing, his girlfriend had already given birth. Scarver was sentenced to life in prison for his crimes in 1992, the same as Jeffrey. But according to Scarver, despite the few similarities that they shared, he stayed away from Jeffrey while in prison. Aside from the fact that Scarver didn't like Jeffrey due to the gruesomeness of his crimes, he also didn't like how he was usually causing trouble. While speaking on the issue, Scarver pointed out that many of the other inmates shared his sentiment, and he even recalled how a fellow inmate, Osvaldo Dorothy, had attempted to cut Jeffrey's throat with a razor he hid inside a toothbrush.
I mean, this guy isn't the only one that, had the idea of doing it. There is definitely a whole bunch of people in his ward that wanted to do this to Jeffrey. So Jeffrey was definitely, and he was out there, flaunting it like he's cool again. He got himself a little too comfortable, which is what all, murderers and stuff do. They get themselves a little too comfortable and think they can get away with enough. And that's when you get yourself in trouble.
This dislike for the serial killer, Scarver pretty much didn't mind Jeffrey and did his best to stay away from him up until 1994. What changed, you ask? You're about to find out. On November 28, 1994, Scarver, Jeffrey, and another inmate, Jesse Anderson, had been assigned to clean the bathrooms in the prison's gym. Scarver said that while they were cleaning, someone poked him at the back, and when he turned to look, he found both Jeffrey and Jesse laughing under their breath. Although this greatly angered Scarver, he didn't do anything and decided to wait until Jeffrey went to the locker room. Moments later, Scarver removed a metal bar from a piece of exercise equipment in the prison weight room and followed Jeffrey into the locker room. In the locker room, Scarver bludgeoned 34-year-old Jeffrey Dahmer to the brink of death. He then went after Jesse and did the same to him. Jeffrey died as he was being rushed to the hospital, while Jesse died 2 days later. When Scarver was asked why he did what he did, he claimed that he was the chosen one and that he had
So his words were exactly, God told me to do it. You will hear about it on the 6 o'clock news. Jesse Anderson and Jeffrey Dahmer are dead. Huh. Well, he is in the psych ward, so. And when you get into prison, they pretty much force Christianity and God on you. So a mix in with, you know, manic episodes of breaking down, you know, and then having to sit in prison for what you've done, and then dealing with the antagonizing of what, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer was doing in there around him to his face all the time, and then the forcing of the religious on people as well. I think this was a perfect storm for this guy to do what he did to Jeffrey. So
to do it. Scarver also claimed that the correctional officers knew that he didn't like Jeffrey and that they intentionally had them work together so that he could kill Dahmer. Of course, there's no proof to that.
I can absolutely see that too. Police officers in prison systems and jails and stuff are so fucking dirty and janky and corrupt in there. I'm pretty sure that they did not like Jeffrey Dahmer and wanted him dead just as much as the rest of the prisoners in there, and they set this whole thing up. They probably saw the anger in that guy's face and the frustration and the stress that guy had over Jeffrey, and was like, yeah, we're gonna team them up together and see what this guy will do. I could totally see the prison guards setting this kind of stuff up. So yeah.
Back up these outrageous claims. Regardless of whether or not the correctional officers intentionally set the pair up, the deed was done, and Jeffrey Dahmer had died after serving 3 years of what was supposed to be a life sentence. Following the brutal murders, Scarver was catapulted into the spotlight as he received a lot of commendations and backlash from the general public. While some people said he was still a criminal, a greater number applauded him for getting rid of Jeffrey Dahmer, whom they had always thought deserved to die. Some accounts even state that Scarver received thank you notes from the families of some of Jeffrey's victims. The aftermath. While the court of public opinion did its thing, the truth remained that Scarver had committed cold-blooded murder and needed to be punished for his crimes. The case was brought before a court of law, and in addition to the life sentence Scarver was already serving, he was given 2 more life sentences. Scarver,
yeah, right. God told him that the chili tastes weird, so he had to go murder Jeffrey Dahmer.
Currently in a medium security prison in Wisconsin, where he self-publishes poetry. He has been spending his free time writing songs, music compositions, short stories, poetry, and prison policy proposals, as well as creating original art, according to his Amazon bio. Currently, Scarver has multiple poetry books for sale, including 2015's The Child Left Behind, and has managed to remain in contact with his son through it all. The two have reportedly maintained a good relationship all these years. In addition to being a published writer, Scarver also wishes to attend college to study mechanical and electrical engineering through his American Prisoner Repatriation Act initiative. Needless to say, Scarver is dedicated to making the most out of life, despite being confined to a prison cell. And that brings us to the end of the video. To check out other videos like this one, kindly click on...
That is the end of that video. So yeah, that's the story. I mean, apparently he's still alive. He's really close with his son. He's been writing some books, wants to take some college classes on engineering, which is really, really interesting and kind of cool. I agree, he's definitely still a criminal, but he, you know, it could either be, you know, he couldn't handle the guy anymore, like I was saying earlier. It was like that perfect storm, and then the police officer set him up to do something like that. But you know, when you're a bad guy and you're a murderer, karma, like what happened with Mr. Dahmer, karma starts to come towards you and catches up with you, especially when you get a little bit too comfortable with what you're doing. So yeah, there's that one. Okay, yes, if everyone was reading Teresa's stuff in here, it's definitely true. She's got it. The technology you just get to assess their healthcare. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see what I have for the last. Oh, it's the Yosemite National Park one. I think that one is kind of boring. I'm not really sure. How long is it? Oh, geez. Oh, so it's just stories of people at the national park. We can get off a little early today, I think. It's Tuesday. Oh, yeah? Like that? Come here. Come on. There you go, Miss Lady. Is that why you're wanting to go to the bedroom? Is because Dodger's in there? Dodger, come on. Dodger, come on. Out. Dodger, out of the bedroom. Oh, this little... were you watching Kennedy, former MTV VJ, not knowing how fiat currency works? Huh? No, we were watching the Warnock and Oliver debate, and Oliver is a libertarian, so me and Teresa and Cherry were kind of back and forthing on some of the things that he got right, some of the things that he got wrong, especially with the MMT aspect of it, because libertarians, like, they get up to that point and then they kind of like make a right turn, especially with the whole like balancing the budget and wanting to privatize everything. So we were just bringing up MMT into the aspect of what he was saying. So that's what we were doing. Come on, Dodger. You got to get out of that bedroom. Like, both of y'all are... she was whining. She was wanting to go in the bedroom. Huh. Mama's dirty thing. That's her new boyfriend now, and I don't like it. I don't like how much you like Dodger. It's not okay. No, it's not okay. You're supposed to love me. You're supposed to love me. Me. Got it? She's so funny. She was in a case study QB clip telling us she wants us to go back to the gold standards. Oh. Really? I have not seen that. Let me look it up. Case study QB. I always forget they do stuff. Let's see. I see an MSNBC one. I see a Fox News, MSNBC. Oh, here. Kennedy Nation calls for going back to the gold standard. If we were on a gold standard, the value of our money would be tied to physical gold instead of some imaginary modern monetary theory, which is socialistic garbage, MMT. Oh, does Case Study QB know about MMT? That's interesting. Y'all shock me with like who knows about MMT. All right. We gonna watch this one really quick. Oh, okay, so he does now. Awesome. Good for him.
That gold standard. Plenty of us liberty freaks have been screaming that for years, along with taxation is theft and end the Fed. But with inflation roaring out of control and the impotent lords of fiat currency failing us in the economy, it is time this troubled nation get back to sound monetary policy. Congressman Alex Mooney has introduced a bill to adopt a new gold standard for these new times. And it's about time because our dollar has lost 30% of its value since the year 2000 and 97% since the Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913. That year was a real crap festival. Well, right now, the U.S. sits on the largest gold stockpile in the world, roughly 8,100 tons of this stable stalwart. So if we were on a gold standard, the value of our money would be tied to physical gold instead of some imaginary modern monetary theory, which is socialistic garbage that encourages money printing.
Okay, wait. Gold is not backed by, like literally word for word modern monetary theory. It's backed by us having to use it and being taxed with it. So, because you have to pay tax with US dollars, so it gives it value. So this is what people don't understand about backing this shit with gold and going back to the gold currency. However much gold we have is only the amount of money that will ever be able to go into the system. And with how greedy corporations and politicians and people are, there's no fucking way that we're ever going to have enough money to help people, the regular people, while the rich people are still going to keep, stealing up all the money that's backed by gold. Absolutely not. This could not work. That puts a limitation on how much money could be out there to help the people. Like, yeah, I get it, unfettered capitalism right now, and the fact that our fiat currency is just wiling out, but there's still a way to fix it. You know, there's still a way to handle the situation by taxing these ultra rich. If we tax the ultra rich with our gold, you know, our money's backed by gold, then of course that money is going to go back to the government and stay there, but it's never going to go back to us. It's never going to help us. They never, with the greediness and the mentality and the culture of the rich people right now, there's just no way that this could ever work now. It's just, we just can't go backwards to it. It doesn't. Nah, I'm cool with that. I'm way cool with that.
And deficit spending, hence, we're doing that now, and it's not working unless you call out of control prices and a global recession success. Fiat currency and the lying stewards like Jerome Powell, who hates the idea of a gold standard, so does Paul Krugman. If they hate it, we should like it. It is vulnerable to the kind of inflation that, when not recognized early, talking about fiat currency, and when mislabeled as transitory, it's almost impossible to rein in. Human beings are flawed. I get that. They're narcissistic. Some of them are dumb. But when you combine all three of those attributes into a Fed chair, a Treasury secretary, and president, it's very easy to see how this arbitrary fiat system could have its way with an economy and bugger it into helpless submission. I don't want a buggered economy. I don't want to be buggered. I want an economy that services hardworking individuals who can see and measure the proof of their currency's value. I demand a return to rational monetary policy in this country.
What is she talking about? She's tripping, right? She's tripping, right? Half of Congress was still in Congress, right, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and they are responsible for misleading the public with policy that acts like we're still on it. Fucking men, Ed Heller. Holy shit. Good job. That's amazing. Damn, dude. We got some NMTers up in here right now. I'm kind of digging this. Loving it. Libertarians on the question of rights and freedoms would make great allies, but they are so brainwashed by the free market. Yeah, the whole privatization loving kind of stuff. I know. That's the only bad part. That's why Sexy Loki ended up as a 7 instead of a 10. So we're kind of like partial simping on Loki, Mr. Oliver. Right. Why was gold chosen as a currency anyway? Because it's durable, malleable, and travels well. Gold is not something some magical currency thing. It just worked. Exactly. You don't have to back the gold or back a dollar by anything. As long as you keep forcing people to be taxed in those dollars, they're always going to have a value, because the more you tax, the more valuable those dollars are, because the more you tax, the more you're taking away from the people. And so the more of the people want to hold on to that, and they see that dollar bill as something more valuable. But you keep printing more money and putting it out into there and not taxing the people, taxing it back equally in a safe and steady way, then that's when dollars become invaluable, and they start, people just have so much dollar bills in their purse that they don't even know what to do with it because it's valueless, So that's the way that works. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic a little bit. You have a book list on the bookshop.org, so you can buy books about pizza and MMT without using Amazon. Nice. Get it, Ed. You guys go check that out. bookshop.org/shop/RDD pizza. That's nice. Good job. Well, hello, bot. Looks like we got a bot in Twitch over here. I'm like, what is this person talking about? So hello, if you need real free and high quality service to increase your viewers, check streamdetails.com. Top streamers already use it. Okay, dude. Whatever you say, bot. All right, let's finish this up. It looks like we only got like 20 seconds left.
And dare other countries to follow suit. We have been lied to, taken advantage of, marginalized by powerful elites who think we're too dumb to measure apples to apples and gold to dollars. Let's return to the gold standard now and force the incompetent
but I mean, I'm not calling people dumb, but they're not like they're unintelligent about this situation because of the government that we have and had. So yeah, that doesn't, I keep reading this and it's like, go back to the gold standard. Like, oh my God, if we do, like, how many more poor people are we going to have? Because we don't have that much gold backing. Like, there's not much, like, where's that hoard of gold that we always said we had? Jesus Christ. Or are we going to like go over to Africa and take over where the Chinese are already digging that 1 trillion worth of gold that's out there? Jesus Christ.
Buggerers to resign in disgrace. I love gold. And that's the memo.
She's fucking creepy. Weird. Yeah, no, I'm not going to repeat myself about how this works, but it won't work. Sorry, it just won't work. We can't do it. We're so far deep into the free-floating fiat currency right now that there's just no way that you can take that much money away from the regular people and back it by gold, because they're not going to tax and take it away from the rich people, because the rich people are going to fucking fight tooth and nail until they get their way, and then we're going to be taxed and we're not going to have shit. Like, literally, it's going to be a repeat. Like, we're going to turn back into like the 1600s where people literally had like these homemade huts, and like they're cooking on like this, this triangle hanging pot with like the fire in the front. We're like, pulling water out of like some kind of like, well or something to fill up a tub that's like right next to it outside in the backyard. So that way we can have hot water or some kind of water to bathe in, and everybody's got to use the same bath water. It feels like that's what we're going to end up turning ourselves into, just so you can go back to this quote unquote good old times. That's disgusting. That's horrible. Holy shit. Well, thank you, Ed. I'm so glad that you guys all understand MMT. That is amazing. Thank you. Holy shit. Well, that was really good. Thank you for that. That's going to add some more clipping. Oh, you want to repeat yourself? You want to go back on again? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Trust is the only currency for me. That's why I'm here. You're in Canada as well, right? Or I think I remember seeing you said you were in Canada in a Warren show in BC, British Columbia, right? That's in Canada. But Canada also has free floating fiat currency as well. They're not backed by the gold standard either. They're what we call monetarily sovereign. So yeah, you're good too. You don't have to worry about that. Trust. Yeah, I mean, but that's what it is I mean, it's not really trust, because we don't trust our government and money is still valuable anyway. We don't need to really trust the currency. The government just needs to make sure you're being taxed with that money, and you're always going to consider it valuable. You don't need to trust that dollar is going to get to where it needs to go. You just need to be able to make sure that you can pay for it, whatever you need. So I don't say that there should, the trust in the currency is what makes it valuable. I think the taxes make it valuable. So yeah, Canada is toast. Oh, I love Canada. Canada's not too bad. My aunt is a Mountie up there. So yeah, I'm French Canadian, so that's like my part of my heritage is French Canadian. So I don't mind Canada. They're all right. They're nice. So at least they're nice over there. A lot nicer than Americans. We're assholes. So at least you guys got that. Toast, burnt, cooked. Oh, you're so funny. Okay. I'm going to get off of here because I got like 10 more minutes and then I got to get off anyway. I've been on here for almost 4 hours. The thing that confuses people is that even though they need to pay federal taxes, it's not how Congress pays for things. Exactly. That's just when people are like, they're like, the only reason why the dollar is valuable is because of the full and the full and honorable trust in the government. And I'm just like, we don't have to trust the government for the dollar to have value. Pretty much, it's just you just need to be able to tax in those dollars. But paying for things, how Congress and the government pays for things, is a whole separate process of the value of the dollar and why it has value and the taxes and stuff. So yeah, you lie like rugs and believe it. You guys are like nice liars, really sweet, kind, nice liars. Oh, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with little white lies. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I am not approving of the corruptness of Canada, I promise. But yeah, absolutely. Ed Heller. Yeah, the way that Congress pays for things is completely different than the reason why we're taxed it, the whole value of it and stuff. So yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm gonna get off of here. Keep your eye out for I'll be clipping this up and releasing it throughout the day, so that way you guys can watch this in small pieces instead of having to watch the full 4 hours. Do I speak French Canadian? I absolutely do not. My sister knows a lot more French than I did. When we decided to take language classes in school, she decided to take the French. I decided to take Spanish. She wanted to go more with our heritage, and I wanted to go more with, I live in California and I want to be able to talk to people. So yeah, that's why. But no, I don't speak French Canadian. I don't. I wish, like, Warren already makes fun of me about like how I say eggs and legs and stuff. So I don't know if I could like add an eh to it, or like how Minnesota talks, where they do everything's a I looked good. I don't see. I'm really horrible with accents. Don't get me started. I'm gonna get off of here before I start embarrassing myself. So keep your eye out for the clips today. I'll be releasing them throughout the day. I'll be back on tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you everyone for coming. Rob, Ed, Warren, Teresa, Sherry. Who else was here as well? Go Start Less. Bones, VS Adams, Yona, thank you for coming by. Holly, Dolores, thank you for stopping by, sharing, giving support. Thank you guys for, and Jesus as well, with the California flag on his picture. If you guys could just please really quick hit the like button. All you got to do is exit out of the chat, hit that like button, the little thumbs up button, open the chat back up. It literally takes 2 seconds. It majorly helps us out in the algorithms. It helps us come up on the recommendation page for people. So that way we can start growing a little bit more. We're definitely getting up to the 1,000 mark. Super, super excited about reaching that. This week has been a lot of work trying to hit at least, start to gather up to that point. So if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button as well. Definitely helps us out. We're trying to hit the monetization part, so that way we can start upping our ante. I definitely would love to start investing in maybe a better camera, because this is bad. I'm telling you, like, I've got so many flaws on my face that none of you motherfuckers can see right now. You just wait till you see my flaws. Okay? I'm saying, just wait. So anyway, I'm just giving you guys this shit. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and being a subscriber if you already do. If you're not getting our notifications, there's also the little bell symbol, and you can hit on it and click all, and that'll give you notifications for all the videos that come out for us. I know some people saying that they weren't getting the notifications for our videos. I have been releasing the YouTube premiere part of it the night before, so hopefully that's been helping out a little bit too. Also, check us out on the Rockfin. We literally just started on Rockfin today, which is super exciting. If you want to find us, we are on the Rockfin. I believe it is KRTD Media on there. God damn it. I gotta make like a little like a bottom part, like on like right here, like how these things say this. I need to add a new Rockfin one for sure. So I'll have to add that today when I'm doing the graphics and stuff for the clips. But thank you. Yes. Thanks for toughing it out. There we go. Thank you, Warren. Yes. Rockfin, Kerberos News. There we go. That's what it is. So check us out on there. Give us a follow. That'd be really fun. We're definitely going to be starting to do things on there a lot more often. Warren helped out immensely. I woke up this morning and all of my What videos are already up on there because Warren is a fucking rock star. It is my angel and my heaven set. And I don't think I would be here without him. So huge shout out to Warren. He has literally pretty much made me what I am today right now within this last year and being on this. So thank you for helping me figure out that I can be myself on here without feeling embarrassed, and I can take the whips that are coming and the praise that is coming. So thank you for everything, Warren. You're like literally my favorite person in the whole world. So yes, have a good day. Thank you for coming, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you, Sherry. Love you to death. You guys keep an eye out for Sherry. She's going to be joining my shows every other Friday soon, whenever she is ready. I don't want to force it on her. I don't want to, like push her or anything. So just keep your eye out. One of these days, Dr. Wise is going to be on the show to answer any questions that you guys have. Her name is Dr. Wise, so she knows everything. She's wise. So if you guys have any questions, maybe send me a tweet or a DM or something like that. If you have any questions about literally anything, whether it comes to life, economics, pretty much anything you could think of. If she can't come with it, I'll help. If you need some like astrology help, we'll help. So just keep an eye out for her. And thanks everybody for stopping by. I truly appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And I'm not going to stay on any much longer because I always keep talking and forget that I'm saying goodbye. So peace.